Is now in session. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you and welcome. Before we get to our new business, we do have some administrative issues to deal with. First, can I have a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I need a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting of March 19, 2026.
I make the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 19th.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Counselor, will you
Yes.
start our new business for
Yes,
us?
so this is the first time that I've been here for a special exception hearing, so I thought maybe we'd take a second just sort of walk through it, because the packet's pretty big.
Yes, okay.
So a special exception is a permitted use subject to conditions within the code. So in other words, it's a permitted use, but you have to have special findings. And so those special findings can be found in 140, 116, which I put in front of your thing. And then today, because it's a fast food restaurant with drive-through, so it's 14028C. Now, I know all of that was in your packet, but I put it before you because you guys, when I was here before, I told you had to state reasons in the record for your vote, okay? So I put those before you. So if you're going to vote in favor of it at the end of the special exception, then you could either adopt like what the applicants put in their application because they went through the standards. You could adopt what in addition to, adopt what's in the recommendations in the city's report. If you're going to vote against it, you have to say why one or more of those factors are not satisfied. Okay, so I tried to put those factors in front of you. This is a little bit of a different application because we have, for at least the first matter on the agenda, we have a special exception and 2 variances. And so the special exception will be voted on first, and following that, we'll go through what we're more familiar with, which is the quick check factors to try to get through and deal with the variance application. If the special exception is approved, we go on to the variances. If it's not approved, we stop at that point. What's the order? We're trying to figure out an order because it's just a little bit different. So the way this is going to work is we'll go to you first. All right, and we'll do that, and then we'll go to Pam for the applicant. We're going to go back to Jim for the comments. So Jim will do the overview and then the comments. Then we're going to go to Ken, who's going to give the rules, and then we're going to have public comment. And then if the applicant has anything they want to say after public comment, we'll let them say it, and we'll close it, and then you guys will start your deliberations. Does that work for everyone?
Correct.
Sure.
Okay. Jim.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So as far as having the opportunity to review the special exception, which is today application V467, which was submitted by Mackenzie Sindelar, Esquire, of the law firm Saul Ewing LLP.
Jim, I'm going to interrupt you one thing because I forgot to say one important thing.
Sure.
We're going to do all the testimony for both the Board of Adjustment and special exception at once. So for the whole thing, we're going to just let everybody talk, and we're going to deal with that when we come back. I'm sorry, Jim. I forgot to say that.
So the application today was submitted by Mackenzie Sindelar, Esquire, of the law firm of Saul Ewing, on behalf of the property owner Nastazos Holdings, LLC, which requests a special exception in accordance with Article 18, Section 14128 of the Town Code, in order to establish a fast food restaurant with drive-through for property zone GB1, General Business District 1, located at 95, 97, and 101 Atlantic Avenue. PIDNs 94410, 94400, 94380. The applicant wishes to consolidate these 3 parcels and develop the property as a commercial retail use, which will include a fast food restaurant with drive-through. A fast food restaurant with drive-through is defined as an establishment whose principal business is the sale of pre-prepared or rapidly prepared food directly to the customer over the counter in a ready-to-consume state for consumption, either within the restaurant building or off the premises. These types of establishments do not offer table service, Food may be ordered by the customer and/or served to the customer while remaining in their vehicle at a menu board or building opening such as a door or window. A special exception is a use that is generally desirable for the general convenience and welfare, but because of its nature and location requires additional review by the Board of Adjustment to assess its impact on neighboring properties and the entire town. The required findings for special exceptions included in section 140.116A are as follows. 1. Is in harmony with the purposes and intent of the comprehensive plan. 2. Will be in harmony with the general character of its neighborhood, considering density, design, bulk, and scale of proposed new structures. 3. Will not be detrimental to the use, peaceful enjoyment, economic value, or development of surrounding properties. 4. Will not cause objectionable noise, vibrations, fumes, odors, dust, glare, or physical activity. 5. Will have no detrimental effect on vehicular or pedestrian traffic. 6. Will not adversely affect the health, safety, security, or general welfare of residents, visitors, or workers in the area. And 7. Complies with all other applicable standards, laws, and regulations in addition to the provisions of this chapter. Excuse me. The additional criteria associated with fast food restaurants with drive-through from section 140.128C are as follows. 1. The use at the proposed location will not create a traffic hazard or traffic nuisance because of its location in relation to similar uses, necessity of turning movements in relation to its access to public roads and intersections, or its location in relation to other buildings or proposed buildings on or near the site, and the traffic patterns from such buildings or cause frequent turning movements across sidewalks and pedestrian ways, thereby disrupting pedestrian circulation within a concentration of retail activity. 2. Applications for such uses shall provide whatever traffic analysis is required by DelDOT for the review and consideration of the town, or shall provide documentary evidence from DelDOT stating that no analysis is required. 3. Such uses shall be located on an arterial or collector street as depicted on the DelDOT functional classification map. Such uses shall only take access from an arterial or collector street as depicted on the DelDOT functional classification map. 4. When such uses abut a lot in a residential district, any lot upon which there is a dwelling as a permitted use under this chapter, or a right-of-way that serves a residential district, the use shall be screened along the entire length of the property boundary abutting the residential district, dwelling, or right-of-way by a solid wall or a substantial, sightly solid fence, not less than 8 feet in height, together with a 20-foot wide planting strip on the outside of such wall or fence, which shall be maintained in good condition. Screening requirements within this planting strip shall be as provided for in other sections of these regulations. 5. When a drive-through facility is placed adjacent to the public right-of-way or other public access thoroughfare, the drive-through cartway will be screened from view with a combination of structures and landscaping as determined by the Board of Adjustment. 6. Such uses shall be limited to 1 drive-through pre-order board, 1 order board, and 1 associated stacking lane. 7. Stacking lanes for such uses shall be at least 180 feet in length, measured from the point of ordering, and shall not block any parking spaces or drive aisles. 8. There shall be a bypass lane of at least 10 feet in width along the entire length of the drive-through lane. 9. Drive-through lanes shall be separated from other aisles by a mountable curbed aisle. 10. The allowable dimensions of the order board and any associated canopy shall be as provided for in other sections of these regulations. 11. Such uses may install an overhead clearance bar to warn of over-height vehicles. The bar shall only include the words maximum height or clearance and the height measurements. No logos or advertisements are allowed. The bar must be placed within the developable area of the site, outside of the required buffering, within the drive-through lane, and be attached to the pre-order board if one is to be installed. The bar shall be a single arm pivoting or breakaway type and may have no hanging appurtenances and may not be illuminated. 12. Hours of operation for such uses shall be limited to 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. for the indoor portion of the restaurant and 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the drive-through. 13. Such uses shall not share dumpsters within developments with multiple uses. Separate dumpsters shall be provided for such uses. Screening for these facilities shall be as provided for in other sections of these regulations. 14. Outdoor above-ground grease traps are prohibited. 15. Any revisions, modifications, changes, or additions to an approved application shall be approved by the Board of Adjustment and shall be subject to all applicable sections of this Land Use and Development Code. That was the special exception. The overview for the variances that are also being requested this evening. which are application V468, which was also submitted by Mackenzie from Saul Ewing for Nestazo's Holdings for the same properties mentioned earlier. They are requesting variances from Article 5, Section 14031 to exceed the maximum allowable lot coverage of 50%, and from Article 11, Section 14073B3B to reduce the width of the 15-foot screening requirement along the frontage of Atlantic Avenue. For property zone GB1, General Business District, located at 9597 Atlantic Avenue. The applicant wishes to consolidate the 3 subject parcels into one, develop the site as a commercial retail use. The plan as currently presented would result in a total lot coverage of approximately 61%, exceeding the maximum allowable lot coverage of 50% by 11%. The screening width provided along the frontage of Atlantic Avenue would be approximately 6 feet, 9 feet less than the required 15 feet. A variance is outlined in Article 17, Section 140-108 with the following definition. A variance is relief from the strict application of the provisions of this chapter when, owing to special conditions or exceptional situations, a literal interpretation of this chapter will result in exceptional practical difficulties to the property owner. Article 17, 140-108G lists the required findings for the granting of a variance. G, required findings pursuant to Title 22, Section 327 of the Delaware Code and applicable law. The Board of Adjustment shall determine whether each variance application meets the following criteria. 1, the variance relates to a specific parcel of land and the hardship is not shared generally by other properties in the same zoning district and vicinity. 2, the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. 3, the benefits from granting the variance would substantially outweigh any detriment. 4, approval of the variance would not substantially impair the intent and purposes of the comprehensive plan or this chapter. And 5, all requirements for the also meeting all requirements for the granting of a variance under Delaware law.
Is the applicant here? Thank you. Before you present, can I just check for the record with Ms. Oliver? Can you certify that the property was posted as required, that affected property owners were notified in writing, and that notice of this meeting was published in the appropriate newspaper?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Pam Scott. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Saul Ewing, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Nestazo's Holdings, LLC. I have with me my associate, Mackenzie Sindelar, also the applicant, Nick Nestazos, Kevin Idolite with Parker and Associates, who did the engineering for this project, and Mark Keeley with Traffic Concepts. Next slide. Okay, next slide. Can he hear me? Okay.
Is the audience able to see that?
Yes, it's on television as well.
Okay.
Thank you. As indicated, we are here in connection with 3 separate parcels, 95, 97, and 101 Atlantic Avenue. The properties are owned by the applicant. The property is zoned GP1, which is your general commercial zoning classification in the town of Ocean View. And we are proposing a multi-use building that would include a restaurant with fast food and drive-through along with retail. As I said, the site consists of 3 lots, which we are proposing to consolidate for purposes of the proposed development. The next slide, please. These are some photos of the existing parcel, or the existing property with the existing uses currently on them. To date, the property has been used as a roadside farm market, restaurant, and fast food establishment with some retail. Next slide, please. The property is located on Atlantic Avenue, which is the commercial corridor in the town of Ocean View. Frankly, when we started talking to the town about this application more than a year ago, the fast food restaurant with drive-through was not a permitted use. And fortunately for us, the town was willing to enter into conversations with us about how the code might be amended to accommodate this type of use. And we spent a significant amount of time with Ken and with Jim and with Jill to develop the ordinance that was ultimately adopted by the town of Ocean View that would specifically permit fast food restaurants with drive-through as a special use exception in this GB1 zoning district. So this is the site in question. As I indicated, it's located along Atlantic Avenue. The next slide, please. This is actually the site plan that shows the layout for the site. We are proposing, as you can see, the green area that kind of surrounds the site along the northern, westerly, and easterly boundaries represent the required screening, landscape screen for the property, along with an 8-foot tall fence. We also are proposing some screening along Atlantic Avenue, although that is one of the variances that we are requesting. We're proposing just under 8,000 square feet with all of the retail space that's proposed. The proposed Dunkin' franchise would be located all the way at the westerly end of the property. And we are proposing 49 parking spaces to meet the requirements of the code with respect to required parking. As you can see, this property is somewhat unique in terms of its size and shape, and that has presented some challenges in terms of being able to develop it and meet all the requirements of the town zoning code. Next slide, please. This is a rendering of what we proposed that the center would look like, as I said, with the Dunkin' franchise on the westerly end with the proposed drive-through area. Next slide shows a little bit more of the detail with respect to the proposed retail space and what it would look like. The next slide, please. This is just showing the area of Atlantic Avenue, essentially from about Mill Road to West Avenue. As you can see, this is kind of the commercial corridor for Ocean View, and our site is shown basically kind of right centrally located along the concentrated commercial corridor. Next slide, please. As was indicated, we require a special use exception for this particular, for the fast food restaurant with drive-through. Next slide. So I'm going to walk through the criteria in the next slide. The exceptions cannot a special exception cannot substantially affect adversely the uses of adjacent and neighboring properties. And then we are also required to meet the other requirements of section 140-128C, which has 15 requirements that Mr. Lober walked you through previously. The proposed use is designed to integrate into the neighboring properties and minimize any adverse impacts on any surrounding residential uses through both screening and meeting the other requirements of the special use exception, including limited operating hours for the use. We propose that this use is consistent with the other nearby uses, which are largely restaurants, retail uses, coffee shops, banks, and a brewery. Next slide, please. The first requirement of section 140-128C is that the proposed use at the location will not create a traffic hazard or traffic nuisance because of its location in relation to similar uses, turning movements, access, etc. As part of the process of considering this use in this location, we did have our traffic engineer, Mark Keeley, do an analysis of the traffic that would be generated by the proposed use, which was also reviewed by the Department of Transportation. It was determined by the department that the amount of traffic that would be generated did not require a traffic impact study because it was below the standards DelDOT normally requires for that. So we are basically generating less than 2,000 average daily trips and less than 200 peak hour trips, and because of that we did not have to do a traffic impact study, although we do need to make a payment to DelDOT as a fee in connection with this project. We also had a number of conversations with DelDOT about access to the site onto Atlantic Avenue, As a result of those conversations, our access has actually been revised from what's existing. So the westernmost access for the site is now just a right out rather than a full access. And we were required to combine the other two access points that were on the site into one access point. We were also required to add a turn lane into the property, a right turn lane into the property to provide for smoother traffic flow. So those were a number of improvements that were made with in connection with this site to improve the traffic flow and to reduce any impacts or create any traffic hazards in connection with the proposed use.
I had a question about that right turn only lane. Will that apply only to the drive-through traffic or all traffic coming in and out?
All traffic coming into the site.
So anybody leaving the site will have to make a right turn onto?
No, coming into the site. We're adding a right turn
I think
lane coming into the
there's two different
site.
right turn lanes.
Yes.
He's confusing the rights
Oh.
out and the right.
I'm
Okay.
talking about right out.
Right out.
Yes.
That is just a right out along the western boundary for the drive-through.
For the drive-through.
Yes.
So other traffic will be able to make left turns out onto 26
Yes.
as they exit the
Yes.
property. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And right turns.
And
And
right.
right turns,
Yes.
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, misunderstood. Thank you. Yes, sir.
And the lanes, lane stacking,
Mm-hmm.
is there any provisions in the event that, that backs up to 26?
We feel fairly confident that that's not going to happen, and the reason I say that is we're required to provide, I believe it's a length of 180 feet. We're actually well in excess of that. We're closer to 450 feet. Based on the study that was done by reviewed by the traffic engineer for stacking requirements for various uses, one of those categories being coffee shops, the average number of cars in the queue is about 13, and we could accommodate up to 22 cars in the queue without creating any backups of any kind in connection with the site. I want to make sure I'm right about that, Mark.
Yeah, based on the data that we have.
You might want to come up for a minute in case there are more questions.
And I'm going to swear you, sir.
Yeah.
I'm going to swear you in.
Yeah.
Can you state your name?
Mark Healy?
Mr. Healy, you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Yes, based on traffic studies we've done in Maryland, the average queue for a Dunkin' Donut store is approximately 12 to 13 vehicles. This site, when measured from the order board back, there's approximately 450 feet. So if you use the average length of a car of 20.5 feet, roughly from the order board back, we can store 22 vehicles. And if there is any overflow, there's additional space within the parking lot, but those 22 vehicles wouldn't block any parking spaces. So we believe, and DelDOT also believes, there's adequate stacking for this project.
That would not do anything to impede coming in traffic. It would just all flow through from off 26.
Yes, correct, yes.
Okay.
There's also a bypass lane, so if you wanted to get out of the queue,
Yes.
this site also provides a bypass lane.
Okay.
Can I ask,
Yes,
I
sir.
have a question regarding, my concern initially was the proximity to Lord Baltimore. Have you had any discussion at all with the administration in regard to the impact that this may have? And I say this from the standpoint, before I was on this august body, I was an elementary principal. We spent a lot of time in terms of developing policies, procedures, and enforcement of traffic. And if you go to Lord Baltimore in the morning, or particularly in the afternoon, it's, from my perspective, it's kind of hairy. So if you haven't had any conversation, I encourage you to give them the courtesy of that, because believe me, the principal does not want to find this out in September.
Right, so I did not have direct contact with them, but I would say, as it was mentioned, the project generates 200 trips. Less than. And then what I think is important is that the Institute of Transportation Engineers manual, which we use and DelDOT also uses to generate traffic, says that 80% of our traffic is pass by, meaning That traffic is already on the road, traveling to another site and stops and visits this site. So the impact to the surrounding intersections because of this 80% pass-by would be minimal.
I hear you, but I've been there
Okay.
and done that, okay? I'm
sir.
just offering you a suggestion.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
Is it true that Delaware DOT determined that no traffic impact study would need to be made? Is that?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, we did not we did not meet the threshold for traffic generation to require a traffic study. And that's why they told us we didn't need to do one and paid what they call an area-wide study fee instead of doing anything further. Let's see. I believe I'm on item number 2. This is, again, part of the special use exception requirements. So talking about a traffic operational analysis, traffic study, so I think we've covered that in our conversations with DelDOT. We did not rise to the level of needing that based on the traffic generation, and so they determined that we were adequate to proceed. With the other qualifications they made about our entrance, combining our access points and making a separate right out for the drive-through. The next slide, please. Requirement number 3 is that the use would be located and or take access from an arterial or collector street. The property is located on Atlantic Avenue, which is classified as a minor arterial according to DelDOT's functional classification map, so we do meet that requirement. The next slide, please. Item number 4 requires when such uses abut a lot in a residential district, any lot upon which there is a dwelling as a permitted use under this chapter, or a right-of-way that serves a residential district, the use shall be screened along the entire length of the property boundary abutting the residential district, dwelling, or right-of-way by a solid wall or substantial, slightly solid fence not less than 8 feet in height, together with a 20 feet wide planting strip on the outside of such wall or fence. We are meeting that requirement. We have a 20-foot wide planting strip along the easterly, northerly, and westerly boundary line, and we also have an 8-foot tall solid fence along those boundaries as well. The next slide, please. The next requirement is that when the drive-through facility is placed adjacent to a public right-of-way or other public access thoroughfare, the drive-through cartway shall be screened from view with a combination of structures and landscaping. Again, along that area, the westerly boundary of the property, we have the planting strip as well as the fencing is being provided. So we do meet this requirement as well. Item number 6, next slide, please, thank you. Uses shall be limited to one drive-through pre-order board, one order board, and one associated stacking lane. We do just have one order board, one associated stacking lane, so we are meeting those specific requirements. Next slide, please. Number 7, the stacking lanes for such uses shall be at least 180 feet in length, measured from the point of ordering, and should not block any parking spaces or drive aisles. I think we addressed this point just a few minutes ago with Mr. Keeley. Our stacking lane is designed to be 450 feet in length, measured from the point of ordering, which can accommodate up to approximately 22 cars, which we think is more than sufficient based on our experience with Dunkin' franchises, and the average stacking queue is about 13 cars. And we also have more than sufficient room within the stacking lanes to not block any parking spaces or any of the drive aisles on the site. Next slide, please. Required to have a bypass lane of at least 10 feet in width along the entire length of the drive-through lane. We are providing that, so we do meet that particular requirement. Next slide, please. Number 9, drive-through lane shall be separated from other aisles by a mountable curbed island. We are providing that as required by the language of the zoning code. Next slide, please. The allowable dimensions of the order board and any associated canopy shall be as provided for in other sections of the regs. Our proposed order board does meet those allowable dimensions. Next slide, please. And that's a photo of the order board that is used and will be used in connection with this site. Next slide, item 11, such uses can install an overhead clearance bar to warn of overheight vehicles. We are providing that. And so the next slide actually shows what that board looks like, and the order board is in compliance with the requirements of your code. Next slide, please. The hours of operation for such uses shall be limited to 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. for indoor portion of the restaurant and 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the drive-through. Our hours will be 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the indoor portion and 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the drive-through. So we are meeting those requirements of the special exception. The next slide, please. The uses cannot share dumpsters facilities when there are multiple uses. We will have separate dumpsters provided, one designated for the restaurant with drive-through and another for the remaining on-site uses, which will all be housed in a single enclosure for screening purposes. So we do meet this particular requirement. The next slide, number 14, no outdoor above-ground grease traps. We will not have any outdoor above-ground grease traps. And item 15, any revisions or modifications would have to come back to the board. Obviously, we acknowledge that if for some reason we would need to do that. The next slide, please. So there were additional considerations, generally speaking, with respect to special use exceptions. Is it in harmony with the purposes and intent of the comprehensive plan? The comprehensive plan emphasizes concentrated commercial uses on Atlantic Avenue, and that's exactly what we are proposing here. Will the proposed use be in harmony with the general character of the neighborhood, considering density, design, bulk, and scale? We would say yes, the design definitely complements the existing neighborhood and the uses in the area and maintains the appropriate scale and aesthetics for those uses as shown on the renderings previously. The use will not be detrimental to the use, peaceful enjoyment, economic value, or development of surrounding properties. We have designed a site such that we believe has provided the necessary screening to mitigate any potential adverse impacts on residential uses that are in the area, and otherwise we are consistent with the other uses in the neighborhood. Will not cause objectionable noise, vibration, fumes, odors, dust, glare, or physical activity. We believe that we will not have any impact on any of these, especially no fumes, vibration, odor, dust, glare. All the lighting for this site will have baffling on it so that none of the light shines outside of the boundaries of the property, so it will not shine on any adjoining properties. No detrimental effect on vehicular or pedestrian traffic. I think we talked about that mainly in terms of vehicular traffic and what we're doing, but I would also note as well that the design honors the pedestrian improvements already in place along Atlantic Avenue. Will not adversely affect the health, safety, security, or general welfare of residents, visitors, or workers in the area. We do not believe that it will. Again, our use is consistent with the zoning, it's consistent with your comprehensive plan, and we are, as best we can, we're meeting all the special use requirements with the exception of 2, which I'll get into in a few minutes. And then otherwise complies with all applicable standards, laws, and regulations, which we submit that we will, and we do. Now I'm going to try to discuss briefly so I can get through this so you don't have to listen to me much longer. Talk about the variance requests. So we are asking for 2 variances. A variance from the 50% maximum coverage of lot area to permit 60.9% lot coverage. I will note that the current use on the site has a lot coverage of 64.8%. The other variance is from the 15-foot screening requirement across the frontage of Atlantic Avenue, Route 26. We are actually providing along the, excuse me for 1 second. It would be helpful to have a visual. I think you all received a copy of this, but this is the site plan, obviously. We are maintaining screening along the western portion of the property. It's not 15 feet back, it's only 6 feet back, but we are trying to meet the kind of intent of the code to provide some level of screening there. As you can see, because the access now is in the middle of the site, that's created a bit of an issue in terms of what we cover there. And because we had to provide this right turn lane, that also impacted our ability to provide screening along this side of the site, although I will note that we have provided screening. It's just further back on the site to attempt to provide some more screening along the Atlantic Avenue portion of the property. So, go ahead. He's got to swear in.
Nick Mastazos.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
I'm gonna call you back up at the end, by the way, real quick. So.
Can we hold this? Or?
Yeah, I was just going to clarify, actually, the screening variance that we're requesting is only for this portion of the property. We're actually able to meet the screening requirement down this portion of 26 and over here. It's just in front of the building where these parking stalls are that we're narrowing to 6 feet. The balance of the property along 26 meets that requirement.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And the next slide, please. And I would note with respect to the lot coverage aspect, as I indicated during the beginning of the presentation, this site is a bit challenging because of its size and shape, especially as you get over this way to the eastern end of the property, which becomes extremely narrow. And because we are required to meet quite a number of requirements with respect to the proposed use as it related to setbacks and screening and fencing, et cetera, that significantly condensed the area of the site and how we were able to fit everything into the site with respect to the parking. While at the same time being able to have a center that I think is in keeping with the area surrounding, is not overly large, but is sufficient so that at the end of the day, it's going to be a financially viable project. Because when you start cutting square footage down on projects, then the question becomes whether it becomes financially viable. Yes, sir.
Where does the requirement for the buffering along 26 come from? I think of the other businesses along 26. I don't recall seeing buffering along those, or maybe I'm just not paying enough attention. I'm thinking of where the Sherwin-Williams is and the restaurant.
Right.
There's no buffering there, is there?
It's, the requirement for 15-foot screening around the perimeter of the entire site is required. Some of the sites have been developed prior to those requirements.
Okay.
Some of the
Yeah.
sites may have obtained variances.
Okay.
It's
Right.
hard to speak to,
Yeah.
you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Pam, before you go on,
Yes.
just to clarify, you just talked about the geometry of the site.
Yes.
Is that what you're submitting as your exceptional practical difficulty?
That is, the exceptional practical difficulty is the shape and size of this lot. It is very hard to work in a triangle and make everything work. So yes, thank you. Yes, sir.
So a denial of the variance for the 15 feet would impact the parking?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Very much so. And we wanted to make sure it was, you know, sometimes these things are a bit of a trade-off, right? I mean, we could have asked for a variance from parking, but we really felt it was very important that we had the required number of parking spaces for retail uses. And so, from our perspective, looking at everything, it was, I think, a better decision to have all the parking that you're required to have, but maybe be able to ask for some level of leeway with respect to the screening along the front of the site. Same with the lot coverage issue. You know, again, it's a very narrow site, and trying to meet all the various requirements we were required to meet with respect to this, it became very difficult to kind of fit all of those things on this property. And still, as I said, have a project that is a viable project. I think the last thing anybody would want is for somebody to get approvals for something and build it and then determine that it's no longer financially viable and it becomes a neighborhood eyesore. But in terms of the standards for the variance, if we could go to the next slide, please. The seminal case in Delaware is called the Quick Check case, which basically established the standards for variances in Delaware. And the factors that you look at, first, the nature of the zone in which the property lies. This property is a commercially zoned property, sits in a commercial corridor, it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, and so it makes sense that a commercial use would be located on this property. The next factor, the character of the immediate vicinity and the uses contained therein. Again, we are located in a commercial corridor. There are some residential uses around this site, and so as the town you know, requires screening when there are those types of separation of uses, commercial, residential, we are meeting the majority of those requirements, especially with respect to the residential properties, to screen this use from any impact to those properties. So we would submit that what we are doing is consistent with the character of the immediate vicinity and the uses. Whether the restriction upon the applicant's property were removed, such removal would seriously affect neighboring properties and uses. I would submit that if the restriction, in this case, the two variances we're asking for, so if the requirement to have a slightly larger lot coverage and to have slightly less screening along the front were removed, is that going to seriously affect neighboring properties and uses? And I would submit to you that it would not. I think it's entirely consistent with what's along that stretch of Atlantic Avenue. And I would also submit that with respect to those uses that really require the screening and the landscaping, which is the westerly, northerly, and easterly property lines, we are maintaining and meeting those standards. And finally, if the restriction is not removed, the restriction would have a tendency to create exceptional practical difficulty to the owner in their efforts to make normal improvements to their property. And as I have said a number of times now, this is a bit of a challenging site to develop because of its unique shape and size. And that does create exceptional practical difficulty in terms of meeting all the various requirements of the code, so that normal improvements can be made to this property as it is zoned for, which is for a commercial purpose. And with that, I'm going to skip the next slide. I know that you received some comments from some, yes, sir.
On the 64% that was mentioned
60 point,
before.
yeah.
Okay. Of lot coverage, excuse me. Is that the totality of the three parcels
Yes.
together?
Yes.
As it exists?
As it exists, yes. Yes.
Okay. So what you're asking for is an actual 3% reduction?
We're actually improving it, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Not a large amount, but we are making improvements to what exists there today, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sure.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Given on that same topic, there seems to be a lot of open space on that lot now. Is that because gravel is considered impermeable?
Yes.
Okay, so is that considered not as impermeable as blacktop will be?
Not in this instance, no.
Okay. And then a question I had regarding the traffic. I heard similar Dunkin' Donuts in Maryland mentioned, makes sense to me. Did I miss something when I was reviewing the materials? The traffic study cited in there was I believe, Minnesota and Kansas. Is that, so my question, if I'm accurate, how reflective of that is to a oceanside town that experiences heavy summer traffic, a lot of which will be going eastbound in the morning to the beach, pulling into a Dunkin' Donuts for a cup of coffee, and then cannot turn eastbound out. So just, that was my concern.
I think what you're referring to was with respect to the stacking spaces.
Yeah, so if data other than Maryland was provided, it's probably from the ITE journal manual, and that includes data from all over the U.S. So it's data that traffic engineers submit to the ITE board. It's peer reviewed, and it's published in the ITE manual. So it can't come from
It's
outside.
from a company.
Just because I can't remember.
Okay.
Can you remind the board what ITE stands for?
Institute of Transportation Engineers.
Which is the Bible for Delta, essentially. So that's
HamptonCars.com.
Yeah.
right, and that has to do with the stacking space.
Okay.
So we looked at other studies that had been done across the country with different type of uses, with different type of drive-throughs in terms of what the average number of cars waiting within the stacking area was.
Okay.
But again, we feel like we have more than sufficient space because we have more than twice what the code requires for the stacking space here. So we're not concerned that that's going to create an issue.
Yes. Staying on the traffic for a moment, the traffic study that was done was for the traffic involved with the restaurant and the drive-through, correct?
Correct, yes.
But this site's going to have 4 other commercial businesses, and we don't know what those are and what traffic they might generate. Will each of those, as they try to come online, require a traffic study of their own? How is
The
that?
analysis was done for the full site.
Oh, for the full site?
Correct. And
That wasn't clear.
this is the only
Okay.
drive-through that we're
Okay.
going to have, and this is probably the only restaurant we're going to have, because we would have to meet some additional requirements with respect to parking. So the traffic analysis that was done was based on the whole site with the one fast food restaurant with drive-through, and the other uses would be basic retail
Okay,
uses.
so it's all the businesses total?
Correct.
And that was what, 300 or 200 trips per day on average?
It was actually less than that.
178.
Yeah, 170.
Yeah, it was less than 200 during the peak hour period.
Okay. But your comment was that the study presumed that 80% of those cars would be there on Route 26 anyway, going somewhere else, and they would just stop at the Dunkin' for coffee or ice cream or whatever. So you're really not generating 178 new vehicles. You're
Correct.
generating 20% of that.
They're already on the roadway going somewhere else, and they see there's a Dunkin' Donuts and decide to make a turn.
Okay.
Or some other retail use, but correct. I know that you received some comments from the public. Would you like me to address those now or wait until you hear?
We'll give you an opportunity after the public speaks.
Okay, that's fine. Yep.
To address
Sure.
whatever they said.
Yep.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to come up. Yes, sir.
Yes.
I already sworn you. So I clerked for a judge who made a comment in a case one time, and it said, everybody at a board of adjustment needs to swear that attorneys can't present testimony. So I'm going to ask you, Ms. Scott's presentation, to the best of your knowledge and belief, are her statements that were set forth before this board true and correct?
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I have 2 questions if the board's finished. Okay. Pam, do you have the exhibit you were just pointing to? Do you have that in your presentation, or do we have to pull
Yes.
a piece of paper?
No, it's in the present, it was in the.
Whatever's easier.
Okay, I got it ready.
Kevin, could you help?
It's slide 6, if that helps.
This one's probably, you can probably read this one better. But yeah, is this the one you're looking at?
That is the Del Dot dedication. So, okay, I didn't realize we were dedicating right away. So, we don't actually have 6 feet. We have that. In congruence with Del Dot, they are allowing us to plant that area.
So is it a dedication or is it permanently?
This would be the dedication in order to satisfy Del Dot's requirement for a 40-foot true center line from the true center line of the road.
Got it, okay. All right,
But they are permitting you to plant within that area.
all right. Okay. And then my other question is from Mark, I believe.
Yeah, Mark.
When I did my assessment of the stacking lane, I came up with a smaller number. Okay. But I'm assuming that yours is the total. I stopped where we started blocking parking spaces.
Okay.
I got 180 and then I got about 300. You said 450. Does the 450 include wrapping around to the entrance?
Yeah, I believe it was from the order board to just where the bend in the road occurs. Well,
Excuse
yeah,
me,
right
could
here.
we see this also, please?
We'll
So-
give us a second to figure it out.
So the order board, here's the order board.
So from here, I got from the order board to here was about 180.
Okay.
And then I got about another 120, which gave you 300 to here. And so I was assuming that your 450 then did this. And I apologize, I don't have a scale that we can drop on the plan at the moment. I just wanted to make sure we're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. When I count the other plan, I counted, and I did count 20 vehicles to the order board, and then another 5.
I think the 450 was in an earlier version before the stormwater got added. So
Okay.
in one of the versions that we had done, none of this was down there.
Got it.
And the length, if you remember,
Yeah, I
I
remember that.
was focused on trying to get it to maximum stacking.
Sure.
The 450 was somewhere back here at that time, that we revised the plan yet again.
Okay.
So, I guess, to his point, the 450 is probably more like a 370 at this point, right now. But there's good revisions to the plan. Thank you.
But I think that number still holds true. It's approximately 20 vehicles from the order board back.
Back. Okay.
Yeah.
So more than enough to accommodate what
Yeah,
queuing
we're
stuff.
well beyond,
Okay.
we're well beyond the number, but I'm
Yeah,
about to
yeah.
make comments and say 300, and you said
I got
450,
you.
so I didn't.
And we did, to be, and as you know, as we talked to Ken and Jim and Jill over a number of months, we made quite a few modifications to the plan.
Right.
So I apologize if the 450 number got left in when it really is more like a 370-foot stacking lane entirely. So, thank you very much.
Turn? Okay. All right, so, I'm sorry?
Is the lot coverage value that now based pre-Del-Dot or post-Del-Dot dedication?
It is post-Del Dot dedication.
So you'll need post that dedication, you'll need the 60.9%. That
Correct.
was, okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, so having reviewed the plan, we went through all of the checks as did Pam, so we'd like to present the town's findings for each of those elements that we went through. So again, regarding the special exception, sorry. Number one of the general requirements for all special exceptions is that the use is in harmony with the purposes and intent of the comprehensive plan. Restaurants were identified as one of the types of commercial businesses residents would like to see in town during the community survey issued as part of the public engagement process during the comprehensive plan update of 2020. Number two, will be in harmony with the general character of its neighborhood considering density, design, bulk, and scale of proposed structures. The structures as currently depicted in the renderings provided are of similar scale and design to other commercial retail establishments through the Route 26 corridor. Number three, will not be detrimental to the use, peaceful enjoyment, economic value, or development of surrounding properties. The proposed use is consistent with the future land use map included in the 2020 comprehensive plan update, and additional criteria specifically associated with this use are included in section 140-128C, which are addressed below. Will not cause objectionable noise, vibrations, fumes, odors, dust, glare, or physical activity. The proposed use is consistent again with the future land use map included in the 2020 comprehensive plan update, and the additional criteria specifically from 140-128 will be addressed below. Will have no detrimental effect on vehicular or pedestrian traffic. The design as currently depicted honors the pedestrian improvements along the Route 26 corridor constructed by DelDOT, provides a link from those improvements to the internal pedestrian network. DelDOT has determined that the use as proposed does not meet the warrant for an individual traffic impact study. The applicants will be required to pay a fee in lieu of the TIS to contribute to off-site improvements at DelDOT's discretion. Number 6, will not adversely affect the health, safety, security, or general welfare of residents, visitors, or workers in the area. The proposed use is consistent with the future land use map once again. The site design will require Delaware State Fire Marshal and DelDOT approval. The buildings will also require Delaware State Fire Marshal and Sussex County approval to ensure building code compliance, and Division of Public Health approval will be required prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. And then number 7, complies with all other applicable standards, laws, and regulations in addition to the provisions of this chapter. Final land development plan approval through the town review process will ensure compliance with the town code and require all applicable outside agency approvals. Regarding the additional criteria associated with the fast food restaurant with the drive-through, the use of the proposed location will not create a traffic hazard or traffic nuisance. The proposed use will be the only one of its type within the subject parcel. The site layout is being designed around the requirements associated with this use. Traffic specifically associated with the proposed use will not disrupt pedestrian traffic. Number 2, applications for such uses shall provide whatever traffic analysis is required by DelDOT. The applicant has provided correspondence from DelDOT stating that they have determined that the use as proposed does not meet the warrant for an individual traffic impact study. The applicants will be required to pay a fee in lieu of the TIS to contribute to off-site improvements at DelDOT's discretion. I'd like to point out at this point that we were unaware of the fact that DelDOT was requiring right-of-way dedication along the frontage of the site when we made these comments. I noticed that on the plans for the first time today. So in conjunction with, or I should say in addition to the correspondence we've already gotten from DelDOT about the fact that they are not required to do a TIS, we're going to ask for additional correspondence from DelDOT stating on paper that they are allowing the screening plantings to be planted within their right-of-way. Number 3, such uses shall be located on an arterial or collector street as depicted on the DelDOT functional classification map. Such uses shall only take access from an arterial or collector street as depicted on the DelDOT functional classification map. The proposed use is located on and only takes access from Route 26, which is an arterial street as depicted on the DelDOT functional classification map. Number 4, when such uses abut a residential district, any lot upon which there is a dwelling or a permitted use under this chapter, or a right-of-way that serves the residential district, the use shall be screened. We've said it a million times. The plan as updated since its original submission provides the buffering required as noted here on all 3 sides of the parcel abutting residential uses and zonings. When a drive-through facility is placed adjacent to the public right-of-way or other public access thoroughfare, the drive-through cartway shall be screened from view. The plan as depicted provides the required buffering against the public right-of-way. Number 6, such uses shall be limited to 1 drive-through pre-order board, 1 order board, and 1 associated stacking lane. The plan as depicted includes 1 drive-through order board and 1 stacking lane. Stacking lanes for such uses shall be at least 180 feet in length measured from the point of ordering and shall not block any parking spaces or drive aisles. The stacking lane currently depicted is approximately 300 feet long. So again, to clarify on the points that we were just discussing, the requirement is 180 feet. They've provided 300 feet before it blocks any parking. There is then another 100 feet plus on site that would admittedly block parking, but would be available to stacking if before traffic in from 26 would be affected. Okay. And as pointed out, that 10-foot escape lane, bypass lane, is provided along the entire length. So if we get to 400 feet and somebody's decided they just need to go, that opportunity exists for space to get around. There shall be a bypass lane of at least 10 feet. That has been provided. Drive-through lanes shall be separated from other aisles by a mounted curb island. That has been provided. The allowable dimensions of the order board and any associated canopy shall be as provided for in other sections of these regulations. The details provided for the order board and the canopy meet the requirements as listed in section 14065. Such uses may install an overhead clearance bar to warn of overheight vehicles. The overhead clearance bar currently depicted on the plans complies with these requirements. Hours of operations for such uses shall be limited to 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. for the indoor portion of the restaurant and 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the drive-through. The application as provided commits to operating hours within these parameters. Number 13, such uses shall not share dumpsters within developments with multiple uses. The plan as depicted provides multiple dumpsters so that the proposed use will not be required to share. Outdoor above ground grease traps are prohibited. The application as provided commits to no outdoor above ground grease traps. Any revisions, modifications, and so on must come back to the board. This provision is not currently applicable. Should the application be approved and changes proposed in the future, the applicant will be required to appear in front of the board for approval. I'd like to further point out that as of April 15th, 2026, the department was in receipt of 4 letters of opposition to the special exception and or the related variance requests. These letters are included as part of your board's packets. We will provide any copies of any new correspondence directly to the board for their consideration. I don't believe we've gotten any new since the writing of the letter. Regarding our findings of the review of the variance application. Again, the department is in receipt of 4 letters of opposition to the special exception and or the related variance requests. Same 4 letters in opposition to all of the things. These letters are included in your packets.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I want to thank everyone for attending the meeting. It's an incredible turnout, and participation is important, and it is key to the decisions that the Board of Adjustment will make. As a reminder, there are a lot of people here. Everyone will have a 3-minute time limit to speak, give their opinion, articulate their concerns or their approval. So time is short. So if 5 people have already come up to speak and they've advised the board that the sky is blue and the grass is green, the 6th person isn't going to make the sky any bluer or any greener. So use your time wisely and make it meaningful and impactful. That's it, and I say thank you.
So I'd like to ask everyone, so I don't have to swear everyone, so anyone who's intending to speak, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Yes. Any nays? Hearing none. The floor is open to public comment.
May I ask just one more thing? Please make sure that you have signed in so that we know who is here on the back table. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you. I live at 78 Woodland Avenue, which is maybe 30.
Can you state your name?
I'm sorry, my name is Thomas Taglianti, and I live at 78 Woodland Avenue. I never got a notice in the mail, as stated, about this project. Second thing is I'm worried about Woodland Avenue, the construction, if you're going to do it. Trucks going up and down and being built. I can't read the descriptions of things.
Excuse me, sir, this project is significantly downstream.
It's not significant
from Woodland Avenue. And this site does not have any impact on Woodland Avenue. This site is west of Woodland Avenue at the White Creek, in the area of the State Farm.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So we're here to talk about this site, not Woodland.
No, I understand. I understand what you're talking about. But any future notices I appreciate, because I know they're going to do something on that land also. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, Patty Mallon. I live on Columbia Avenue. This will be in my front yard. not happy. I'm curious as to whether there are any other businesses in the area that are part of a homeowners association. Because these lots are part of the Cottages Homeowners Association. Is everyone aware of that?
The proprietors of the,
Correct.
what is there now, they come to your homeowners and they are eligible to vote?
Yeah. To give you a brief history, the Kaufman family, which is that house, I think it's number
Correct.
100, the grandma used to live there until she sold, but they owned all of the land of the cottages, and they sold it in the late 80s to build the cottages. They were always part of, and still are part of, our HOA. So I wonder, as a homeowners association, do we have any say in what's going to go into a lot that is part of our community? That's one concern. The other concern is with the flooding. We had years and years of flooding until about 2 years ago when they put in the ditches, and things have been improved greatly. But with all the runoff from all this cement, I'm afraid that is it going to go on to Columbia Avenue and impact the ditches? That's another concern. The economic harm and the value to my home, I don't see how this could possibly be anything other than harmful to the value of my home. And it would certainly impact the pleasure and enjoyment of my living space, to be looking straight across the street at Dunkin' Donuts. What's there now is kind of quaint, old town, wooden, white wooden, it's been there forever. That hasn't been an eyesore, but this I think will be. I'm also concerned with light pollution as well as the pollution from cars that are in this, right on the other side of the fence, which will be standing in line to get their coffee. So you have all those fumes. And as far as safety, anytime there's a business, there's a concern that, as we saw in the Verizon store a few years ago, they got held up. So that is a concern. So I reject the company that said it won't involve the economic or the safety or the well-being or the pleasure of somebody, because it certainly will. The other thing I'd like to know is where exactly the property line is, because I want to know about the woods that are next to this, the western end. And I'd like to know if those woods are going to stay, or you're not going to, do they own it? Because I was always under the impression that that's where our water comes in. Oh, that's 3 minutes? Wow.
I do believe there's one additional residential lot west of this property.
There is.
Yes, that is most likely the wooded lot that you're speaking of.
He doesn't own the woods. From what my understanding is, next to that guy's house, there's woods. I was told that the county or the state owned it because that's where the main water comes in for our whole neighborhood.
Got it.
And it would never be developed. I'm just wanting to make sure if that's the case.
Sure, there's a wetlands ditch that comes through there. I don't believe it's publicly owned lands. I believe it's privately owned lands, and it's not part of this subdivision, not part of this
So the
plan
woods will
development.
stay?
Yes.
Thank you.
So for the board, just one portion, very small portion of that comment. We, Town of Ocean View, this board, the same as every other jurisdiction, does not enforce private deed restrictions like a homeowners association. So that's outside your purview.
And if I could offer a point of clarification for what I just said, the woods will not be affected by the development of this parcel. It's a privately owned piece of property. I can't control what's going to happen. There's not going to be there's no conservation easement or anything like that that's placed on that land. Whoever owns that land can choose to do what they want. It will not be affected by this project. Does that make?
Can you find out who owns it?
Sure, it's public record. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, can you state your name for the record?
Yep, I'm Gerald Mikesell, and my wife and I own the property right on the corner of Columbia and Sally Lane, and so our garage is about 40 feet away from the eastern end of this project. And so our concerns, as to what Patty said also, number one, lights. We've been going from, currently, our quality of life is at as soon as it gets dark, it is dark out there. And so My grandkids can sit out in the yard and look at stars and count meteors, and it's quiet. We're able to walk around the community at night and be very quiet and good. And so to go from there to having lights on 24/7 that are at an elevated level is a great concern. And having Vaseline or covering on the front plates, sure, it keeps exterior glare, but it does not eliminate light pollution. I do have concern with car exhaust, hydrocarbon. Currently, with a barbecue stand, the wind blows that way, we constantly get the barbecue cooking smoke coming across our property, and we've learned to tolerate it over the 26 years that we've been there. But you know, having cars there on a continual basis, and not only backing up, waiting to receive orders, but backing up, waiting to get back onto 26. If they're going to the right, if they're going west, it's not a problem. But if they're going east, during the winter, during peak hours, while the traffic backs up from Central Avenue Light past Lord Baltimore Elementary School. During the summer, that same traffic backs up almost to the light at Giant Food. And so being able to turn left out of a property onto 26 is not an easy proposition. So you're going to have all of these cars then building up into their parking lot and increasing the amount of exhaust and the amount of fumes that come to us. And so I guess our concern is we just really feel very much so that it's going to impact property values, that it's going to impact quality of life for those of us in that community. And you know, I have no misconception that we won't have commercial property replacing those businesses there, but having a drive-through type of commercial property is what is really the concern for us. And having the long hours from 5 a.m. to the 9 p.m. Properties along that area currently, you know, run from 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. And then after that, there's no traffic, there's no noise, there's no consideration for those of us in the community. And just having a community that is so close to that property makes it kind of a unique situation. Thank you. I appreciate my 3 minutes.
I'm Paul Norris, 20 Port Royal Road in Ocean View, and I'll try to keep it in 3 minutes here, but I'd say, in my opinion, the lots in question are not suitable for a fast food restaurant with a drive-through. The property seems too small and too narrow for such use, as the owners themselves appear to acknowledge while they're requesting lot coverage and screening variances. I'm also very concerned about traffic implications on already overly congested Route 26/Atlantic Avenue. It's not difficult to picture dangerous challenges that an even moderate increase in the number of cars trying to turn left into or out of the proposed restaurant would cause. High traffic volume on the 2-lane Route 26 already causes challenges for emergency vehicles from Millville Volunteer Fire Department, and particularly during the ever-expanding in-season months. Adding the complications and the additional congestion of more cars clogging Route 26's left turn lane as they wait to get into the proposed restaurant and drive-through could cause a potentially life-threatening delay in Millville VFD's response time to an Ocean View call. I understand now in the past half hour now there's a right turn only exit, but even a moderate increase in left turn exiting traffic from the other commercial properties. So even granted the right turn exit for the drive-through, you'll still have an increased volume of left turns out of that property onto Route 26. The businesses there are very low volume right now, so I think the additional commercial property would increase the volume of left turns out of the property onto 26, and it seems like that's a very predictable additional problem. Those who are trying to turn left onto Route 26 and head eastbound will very likely have to find a way through cars that are lined up in 26's middle lane trying to turn left into the property. So the exiting drivers may face a dangerous blind spot for oncoming eastbound traffic in the far lane of Route 26 as they try to peer around the gap of cars that are lined up to get into the property. It's easy to see backups of cars both entering and exiting the property, causing a dangerous situation and a range of traffic congestion problems. The owner's proposed use for this property the owner's proposed use is ill-suited for this property and likely dangerous. The project is forcing a square peg into a round hole, and when you do that, something breaks. Therefore, I respectfully request the Board of Adjustment reject variance requests V467 and V468. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Ann Loughney, 19 Sally Lane. I just, we went through all of the paperwork that we could find on this, and I just think it was disingenuous to say that there'd be no environmental impact from cars by stating in your paperwork that due to so many electric vehicles, it's not going to be a problem. And so we looked on the Delaware Department of Motor Vehicles, and it's 4% of the cars in Delaware are either EV hybrid or plug-in hybrid. So that it was disingenuous to say, oh, we're fine, they're all going to be electric vehicles. So for both noise and pollution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Cindy Hiltz-Slaza. Nice to meet you all.
Can you state your address too?
12 Whites Creek Lane. The Cottages was one of the first planned communities here in Ocean View, about 1990-ish. I did not receive paperwork regarding today, but our post office is closed, and so I give them grace. It would have been nice, though, to receive the paperwork. There's a coffee shop, and I'm just giving you information about what will possibly come from Dunkin' coming in. 117 Atlantic Avenue is butt up to our community on Whites Creek. 20 years ago, they wanted to put in a fast food restaurant. We fought that off because we didn't want to listen to hamburger, French fries, Coke sitting on our patios, overlooking a beautiful creek. And in fact, it did not happen. Well, now it's going to happen. And the dumpsters that are at 117 Atlantic Avenue, where the coffee shop is, we get to hear them Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 a.m. when they come to dump them. So there is noise pollution, and in fact, we listen to car horns go off all day long that are right there against our community when people lock their cars or when they're in a hurry and then they're beeping their horns. Columbia is going to hear that all day long. Regarding traffic, we can't even get in and out of Woodland to get on 26. June, July, and August, none of us go that way. And it's already beginning. The bypass on 26 is problematic. People start to use the center lane from Weiss and go all the way down that lane until they get to Bethany Brewery. We've had many people hit on their bicycles in the bike lanes. We can confirm that with Chief Kenny. And the children at Lord Baltimore will be negatively impacted because they're going to have the exact same times as school. The parents wait in line to pick up their children. You can't get down Route 26. So basically that center lane is going to be head on. Noise pollution via the drive-through speaker system, car horns from the cars, lights. Whites Creek is lit up now by lights because 117 has the lights blaring into our homes and down the creek. Columbia is the turn of the corner, and they'll have the same thing. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Malkins, 18 Port Royal Road.
So I would submit to the board that you table this request and hear more from the HOA at the cottages of Whites Creek, if you're doing your best due diligence. Also, the state bought part of 12 Columbia Road a few years ago so they can further expand Route 26 westerly. This development or this property would severely impact that, the ability for the state to expand 26. Runoff, is there any plan for a sediment pond or anything? Traffic study, you cited a traffic study throughout the United States. I'd love to see a traffic study that showed Route 26 and how you were going to find another traffic pattern like that in the United States. I think Route 26 is very unique. It's also a hurricane evacuation route. And I don't believe it's in the best use for the community because it is a part of the cottages of Whites Creek. So if you talk about neighborhoods, this is a neighborhood, okay? Also, property impacted value. Currently, the average sale price of a home in the cottages of Whites Creek is $504,000 last year. As a realtor, we estimate abutting up to a commercial property like this that they're proposing, it's going to impact property values by at least 10%. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to give public comment? Anyone else? If there's no one else, Ms. Scott, we'll give you the final.
I want to clarify a few things, if I may.
Sure.
Thank you. First thing I want to clarify for the board is that 117 Atlantic Avenue is located in unincorporated Sussex County. It's not part of Ocean View. It's not part of the town of Millville. It is in unincorporated Sussex County. We heard a lot of conversation today about traffic studies and Route 26 and, State Route 26 is a roadway that is owned and operated and maintained by the Delaware Department of Transportation. The town of Ocean View cannot dictate that any property owner wishing to develop their property that is taking access off of a state-owned and maintained roadway, we cannot make them complete a traffic study.
Yeah.
If the Department of Transportation feels like no traffic study was warranted, that's their decision. The traffic woes of Route 26 are while we are stuck dealing with it, the tail doesn't wag the dog. It's a state issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank the board again for taking your time to listen to our application and also to listen to the concerns of the residents of the community. I would like to note at the beginning that it seemed to me that the majority of the concerns that were expressed today related to the specific factors of the special use exception and not the variance applications. And we meet all the requirements of the special use exception. That includes traffic. We did the traffic review. We discussed that with DelDOT. DelDOT advised what we needed to do, that we didn't need to do a traffic study. They advised what we needed to do with respect to entranceways to the site, which we are doing. But we have addressed that issue to the satisfaction of the agency that oversees the roadway of Route 26. I heard concerns about light pollution. I think we addressed that as well. The lights for this site, not only will they turn off at night when the operations are closed, And again, we are complying with the operational hour requirements for this use. But they also will have baffles on them so that all the light will be directed directly onto our site and will not protrude beyond the boundaries of our site. I'm not sure what I can say about car idling, and I don't understand the comment about electric vehicles because we didn't say anything about electric vehicles as part of our application. So, yes, will there be some cars idling while they're sitting in line? Yes, I suspect that there will be. But I don't think that rises to the level of creating such an issue that the special use exception requirements are not met in connection with this application. In terms of flooding, we will be implementing stormwater management on this site, which currently it probably doesn't even have. So we are required to control runoff from this site to make sure it doesn't run off to adjoining properties. With respect to the school impact, I mean, we will, as requested by Mr. Coppels, we will have a conversation with the school.
Thank you.
But as indicated as part of our traffic study, during the peak periods, we have about 174, give or take, traffic on this site coming and going, which is well below what the standard is for a traffic impact study. And the peak periods, generally speaking, are 7 to 8 in the morning and 5 to 6 in the evening. Those are the areas within which they are measuring the traffic during the peak periods. And we have a very small amount of traffic that's hitting the peak period amount of traffic in connection with this site. In terms of the potential noise from the speakers, the speaker on the order board is going to be well below what the normal decibel levels are for most jurisdictions. I didn't see a noise requirement in any of your code provisions, but I can tell you that what the noise generally from these types of things is well below whatever decibel levels other towns have, and Nick could certainly
I'm happy to
speak to that if you'd like to hear more, because he obviously operates these franchises.
The decibel.
Hold on,
Come on.
please talk in the microphone.
Yeah, talking like.
So the decibel level is set to 65, which will travel unobstructed a maximum of 25 to 30 feet. The menu board is 40 feet from the rear property line, and there's a 8-foot fence and plantings, obviously, that are buffering all of this. So even unobstructed, it won't cross into Columbia Avenue.
Thank you. And in terms of impact on property values, I mean, frankly, without an appraisal that's showing you there's some impact from this use on the valuation of property, I don't think you have anything in front of you that would indicate that there is such an impact. Again, practically all the concerns we heard had to do with the special use exception requirements, and the town made a decision some time ago that this was a use that was going to be permitted, and that if you met these various requirements within the special use exception, you should be able to get approval for that. And with respect to the variances, I think I've already made my arguments as to exceptional practical difficulties. So thank you for your time, very much appreciated. If you have any more questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It could be a last shot, because I'm going to close the public hearing. Okay? If you have anything else. Mr. Chair, let's close the public hearing.
All right. No other members of the public wish to address the board at this time? No one? All right, then we will close the public portion of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Deliberations.
Yes, right.
Do your thing.
Anybody have any? Yes.
You ready for motion?
We're ready for discussion. Anybody have any?
Well, let's do it this way. I actually kind of like that. Let's do a motion.
Okay.
And a second, and
All
we'll
right.
have discussion.
All right, great. Go ahead then.
I make a motion to grant the special exception for B-467 for a fast food restaurant with a drive-through. After reviewing
Hold on a second. That's your motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a second. I'm sorry, further discussion. Floor is yours, sir.
Okay, after reviewing all the submitted information and the presentations today, including some of the public comments, I do find that the applicant has provided sufficient information that the project is in harmony and intent of the comprehensive plan. I believe that it will blend with the general character of the neighborhood, particularly in the context of what it is replacing. I do not, excuse me, I do not believe it will be detrimental to the enjoyment, economic value, or development of the surrounding properties. It will not cause objectionable fumes, odors, dust, glare, or physical activity disruptions, in my opinion. Will have no detrimental effect on pedestrian or traffic, and I do not believe it will adversely affect the health, safety, security, or general welfare of residents, visitors, and workers in the area. I believe the project is in compliance with Article 18, 140-128 of the Town Code concerning fast food restaurants. The issue of the traffic impact, I believe the fact that Delaware DOT believes that no analysis is required and that a TIS, a traffic impact study, was not needed, further supports V-467 having no detrimental impact on traffic or pedestrians. I think the submitted plan meets or exceeds all of the required components of a drive-through, including hours of operation, stacking lanes, bypass lane, landscaping, and one lane for order board, height bar, dumpster, and grease trap.
Thank you. Any other comments? Gentlemen?
I think I would be contrary. I would respectfully disagree, but I don't know if I need to.
So you can do that either now, or I'm gonna ask you for the reasons in the record for your vote.
Okay.
Okay, so when we call the roll call,
Okay.
you can do it then, or you can do it now. It's up to you.
Well, yeah, I guess might as well do it now. Just,
Okay.
I would respectfully, I really think there's been, excellent planning and engineering went into this presentation. And I do take issue with it fitting into the general character of the neighborhood. I think that Ocean View has a very unique kind of coastal cottage feel to it. I don't feel that and I spent a lot of time looking through all of it, that the design, while it's not an unattractive design, it fits into that character. I think it looks very much like most Dunkin' Donut anchored strip malls that you see in suburbia around. The traffic, I'm not a traffic engineer. I am a resident and I have dealt with the traffic. And my concern is the cumulative effect of what it is to be a drive-through, which is deliberately designed to increase volume of cars through an establishment. 7 to 8 a.m. maybe the rush for a normal route, but this is a resort town, so the entire morning it's packed going eastbound to the beach. And folks that are going to stop off and get a cup of coffee going to the beach are going to be forced to make a right turn out and then find a way to U-turn to go back west, in my opinion. So I just think that, and I understand we're talking 200 cars, but it's, again, there's a cumulative effect, this kind of thing, and I just feel like I have a hard time with the drive-through aspect of the establishment.
Max, may I make a point of clarification?
Yes, sir.
In no way, shape, or form do I want to try to affect or say against anything you said. However, cars, based on the design, can leave the site and turn left. You do not have to turn right and then go down and you make a U-turn to head east. There's one lane that comes out at the end of the drive-through, which is a right turn only. If you choose to use that, you're going to head west. But you may also choose to turn left inside the site, come to the main entrance, and then turn left out of the site. So not everybody leaving the site has to head west.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's no, the public hearing is closed, and we request that the audience remain silent while the board deliberates.
Anybody else want to express an opinion before we call a vote?
It's always very difficult when change comes along. And it's difficult, and unfortunately, we are growing by leaps and bounds. It was nice when we came down, and it's growing by leaps and bounds, and we have no control over a lot of that. But I can totally sympathize and understand your concerns, as I too am a resident of Ocean View.
Thank you, Susan. Mr. Coppola?
As I stated earlier, my initial concern had to do with the safety in terms of the school, and I appreciate the fact that you all will have that discussion with the administration. When I first looked at this, my concern was how are all these cars going to get on? But when I looked at the design and the fact that the entrance is to the east, it made it much easier to say yes, particularly given the size of the lanes that they had in there. I understand fully what the concerns of the neighbors are, but also our comprehensive plan has zoned this for business, and that's where our businesses are going to grow, is going down Atlantic Avenue. So I think that this is they're certainly in compliance, and that's why I would certainly support this variance.
Thank you. I would like to,
the audience remain quiet while the board deliberates.
when the town decided that this type of fast food restaurant with a drive-through could be an acceptable use, granted a special exception required, they didn't make it easy, because I count 22 different requirements that have to be met for this board to approve this request. 140-116, the required findings, that's 1 through 7. And 140-128, which is the requirement for the fast food restaurant and drive-in, has an additional 15 requirements. And in order to meet those requirements, this is the material that the applicant had to submit. And I would tell you, I've been on this board for 6 years, and this is the most comprehensive and complete application that I think I've ever seen. In my opinion, the applicant has met the burden of proof on all 22 of these requirements, and for that reason, I'm inclined to support the approval of the application. So, if there's anything else, I'd like to call the
So I'm
vote.
going to call a roll call, and I'm going to guide you guys through this.
Okay.
All right, so let's do a roll call.
All right.
We'll start at the end. Here, on the motion.
My vote would be no.
Do you incorporate in your vote the statements that you made earlier?
Oh, I didn't think I could do it against it. Okay. Yeah, my vote would be no, just because I do feel that it does impact the character of the neighborhood in an adverse way, and I do have concerns about the traffic impact. I very much respect the other views made today, and I do think that there were a lot of accommodations made, and I think the town of Ocean View has really done an excellent job of keeping the town's interest forefront. I just really do strongly feel that the design and structure of the building takes away from some of the uniqueness of the village of Ocean View, the town of Ocean View.
I vote yes, based on the fact that this project is totally in compliance with all the rules and regulations that we have here in the town, and part of the comprehensive plan. So yes, I vote yes.
Would you agree to incorporate as reasons in the record either the statements made by the applicant in their application, or that Mr. Logan read to you earlier?
Yes.
Okay, as I stated before, first thing I'd like to say, and I agree with my patriot here, this is the most complete application I've ever seen, and every single box was checked. Very impressive. So again, I'm in support of granting the special exception. I think the project is in harmony with the comprehensive plan. I believe it will blend.
You could just incorporate what you said before. Just say, for the reasons I said before, if you're going to go back through it.
I do believe that this will be a positive addition to the town.
And you incorporate the statements that you said before.
Yeah, I'll incorporate the statements that I made.
I go next? Yes. First of all, I respect all of your opinions and I understand them deeply, but I see the significance of all of the work that, again, I have been on this board for 10 years, and we have never had such detailed reports and such right to the point. So I also will vote according to
Referencing the material, do you also incorporate the statements that the applicant put into the pre-hearing materials as part of your vote?
Absolutely, yes. And, you know, and unfortunately, and this is, maybe I'm not allowed to say this, Del Dodd controls an awful lot that we have no control over.
I vote yes, based on the comments I just made a little bit ago, and also based on the comprehensive responses in the applicant's written presentation and also in the presentation this afternoon.
Do you incorporate those into the record as reasons for your vote?
I incorporate them into the record as reasons for my vote. Thank you.
And with that, it passes 4-1. Mr. Chair, I'd request a 5-minute break before we go to the next one.
Thank you. Thank you. We're in recess for 5 minutes.
Variances. What's that? Oh, gosh. I was talking too fast. Thank you. And thank you. I'm hot. So give me just a second. My apologies. And I am sorry to the applicant and to everybody else here that I did that. Jim, I'm looking through here. Do you want to just say first variance? Just
Oh, sure. So the variances, again, that we are considering this afternoon are from Article 5, Section 14031, to exceed the maximum allowable lot coverage of 50%. The testimony we heard earlier was that they're proposing 61%.
I would ask.
Can we have quiet, please? We're not finished with the variance request yet.
Oh, thank you. And from Article 11, Section 14073B3B, to reduce the width of the 15-foot screening requirement along the frontage of Atlantic Avenue to 6 feet instead of 15.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have before us the request D468, which is the 2 area variances.
So let's do the variance from the 50% maximum lot coverage of lot area first.
Okay. Anyone have a comment on that portion of the
Are we
request?
doing both
The lot coverage first.
Lot
50%.
coverage
Yes,
first.
sir.
And then we'll go.
Okay, even though they're on the same application?
Yes, we're gonna do lot
Okay.
coverage.
All right.
Given the fact that the proposal on the table is actually going to be less ground coverage than there is currently, I totally support the variance.
Did you want to make a motion to that
I'll
effect?
make a motion to
Thank you.
approve the variance.
Second? Thank you.
And then further discussion.
Further discussion?
So
Call the vote?
I'm
and-
gonna do the same thing again.
Okay.
I'm gonna start that at the end. On the
So,
left.
yeah, I will vote yes in favor of it. I agree that I think that the reduction in permeability from where it currently stands, I think is a positive thing. So I'm in favor of it.
Can you make a finding, do you think it impacts the nature in the zone where the property lies?
I don't think it adversely.
Okay, and is it gonna impact the character of the immediate vicinity?
No.
Do you believe if the lot coverage restriction is removed, such removal would seriously affect neighboring property or properties?
No, it's improving it from what it is now.
And do you find that the applicant has established exceptional practical difficulty?
I do, based on the shape.
Based on the shape and the testimony provided here today?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, you can either incorporate what was just said, or you can state
I incorporate what he said and vote yes.
Okay. Again, because the uniqueness of the lot, I believe, is creating an exceptional difficulty in adhering to the code, limiting the lot coverage to 50%. I also believe that at 61%, which is an 11% increase over the allowable lot coverage, it's still 3% less than the existing lot coverage of 64%. So,
and in addition to your statements, now
in
you
addition
incorporate
to the statements,
you incorporate the statements of your prior or board members who voted.
And to incorporate the statements of the past board members.
I incorporate the statements of the past, and I think it will be improvement as to the aesthetic value as to what exists now.
2 questions, G. So that means you vote yes?
Yes.
And you incorporate the reasonings provided by the
Reasons
three
provided
previous
by the gentleman at this end of the table.
Thank you.
I vote yes as well, and I incorporate the comments of the made by the previous board members here, and also note that the application includes a stormwater management plan for the property, which I think helps to ameliorate the excess over the 50%. So I'm a yes.
So that variance passes 5-0. The next variance is for 15 feet screening, for this 15-foot screening requirement across the frontage of Atlantic Avenue.
I'd motion to approve that as well. I do think that DelDOT provided the approval for it, and I do think that it's actually an improvement from what I see most other businesses do in the area.
So I'm going to do this to you again. And
We need a second.
So we have a motion. We
Yes.
need a second. We need a
I'll
second.
second.
Okay. So further discussion. I'm going to do this to you again. I'm sorry. I'll switch up the order the next time.
No worries.
Do you think it's going to impact the nature of the zone where the property lies?
I do not.
Same questions as before. Do you think it's going to affect the character of the immediate vicinity?
No.
Do you think if the restriction were removed on the applicant's property, such removal would seriously affect neighboring uses of property?
I don't think so. The existing building that's there now is actually closer to the road.
And with respect to exceptional practical difficulty, do you find that the applicant has established exceptional practical difficulty for these variants?
I do, based on the parking requirements.
Parking
The
requirement?
shape of the lot.
And you also incorporate the arguments that the applicant made?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And your vote is yes?
Is yes.
I vote yes. I incorporate all the comments made by previous board members and the applicant.
Yeah.
I also vote yes. And again, I think because the uniqueness of the lot shape does create a practical exceptional difficulty. And I believe just reducing it from 15 to 6.8 feet will not be detrimental to public welfare or change the essential character of the neighborhood.
And do you also incorporate the reasons?
And also incorporate the comments of other board members.
And I also, yes, and I incorporate the comments of the other board members. And so that's
My vote is yes, and I incorporate the comments of the board members who spoke previously.
All right, with that, so both the variances have passed. This application matter is now done. Hopefully I don't mess it up twice. And I would request, Mr. Chair, a 5-minute break.
5-minute break. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to proceed with our agenda. Our next request, our next application is for 34793 Cedar Drive, requesting building a garage that exceeds the limit of 14 feet in height. So, Mr. Lober, are you going to present the overview for us?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Greg. Application B469 submitted by Mackenzie Sindelar, Esquire of Saul Ewing. On behalf of the property owners George H. Wright and Gary W. Wright, requests relief from Article 5, Section 140.32 with regard to the maximum allowable height for detached accessory structures on property zoned R1, single-family residential, located at 32793 Cedar Drive, PIDN 078.000. Property owners wish to construct a detached garage to a height of 18 feet. The maximum allowable height for detached accessory structures as established in Article 5, 140.32 of the Town Code is 14 feet. The proposed garage will exceed the maximum allowable height by 4 feet. A variance is outlined in Article 18, Section 140.108 with the following definition. A variance is relief from the strict application of the provisions of this chapter, and owing to special conditions or exceptional situations, a literal interpretation of this chapter will result in exceptional practical difficulties to the property owner. Article 17, Section 140-108G lists the required findings for the granting of a variance. Required findings pursuant to Title 22, Section 327 of the Delaware Code and applicable law, the Board of Adjustment shall determine whether each variance application meets the following criteria. The variance relates to a specific parcel of land, and the hardship is not shared generally by other properties in the same zoning district and vicinity. The variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. The benefits from granting the variance would substantially outweigh any detriment. Approval of the variance would not substantially impair the intent and purposes of the comprehensive plan or this chapter, and that all requirements for the granting of the variance are met under Delaware law. Our town comments. The department is in receipt of one letter from an adjacent property owner in opposition to the application, which has been included in the in the board's packets. The department would like to note that the Wrights purchased the property in October of 2024. Based on a review of town and county records, the existing detached garage located at the rear of the property was constructed in or around 1998 by previous owners. This two-story garage is considered an existing non-conforming structure. Furthermore, should the board choose to grant the variance, the department recommends that the board inform the applicant that Section 140.25A5 prohibits overnight lodging in accessory structures, which would include both the proposed whole building and the existing garage.
Thank you, Mr. Lober.
And I apologize, we have received one additional letter since the writing of our letter, which has also been provided.
We have it. Thank you. Thank you. Before we proceed, can I check with Ms. Oliver? The property was properly posted, affected neighboring properties were informed in writing, and the report of this meeting was published in the local newspaper.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Mackenzie Sindelar, and I'm an attorney with the law firm of Saul Ewing. Obviously, Pam Scott, you just met as well, is still here. And I'm here today on behalf of my client, Mr. George H. Wright, the owner of the property located at 32793 Cedar Drive, Sussex County, tax parcel number 134-12-422. Mr. Wright is also here today with his wife, Mrs. Vendita Wright. Today, Mr. Wright is seeking a variance from Article 5, Section 140-32 of the Zoning Code, which limits the height of a detached accessory structure to 14 feet. He proposes to construct a pole building on the property with a height of 18 feet, which is needed to allow for a garage door opening of 12 feet, as will be discussed. At the start of the presentation, I did want to share some renderings that we have of the building. We did not have those initially available when I made the supplement to the application, so I will submit those into the record now. Should I be giving those to you, Jeff? And when you get a copy of these, you'll see that there's a front elevation, a back elevation, a right elevation, and then a left elevation, just so you have some sense of what's being proposed here. To provide some additional background, Mr. Wright purchased his property, as Mr. Lobert stated, on October 23rd, 2024, as part of his ultimate retirement plan. He currently owns a property in Maryland, which he is in the process of selling, while Delaware serves now as his primary residence. Prior to the purchase, Mr. Wright was under the impression, based on discussions with his realtor, that he could construct this building as proposed, believing only a building permit was required. Of course, that was not the case, and Mr. Wright is before you today requesting a height variance to accommodate what he seeks to build. The proposed pole building measures 32 by 50 by 18 feet high and will serve multiple functions: a garage for storage, woodworking for commercial, not business uses, one of Mr. Wright's hobbies, vehicle parking for his RV and boat storage. He has 3 boats. The height of 18 feet is necessary to accommodate the roof pitch for the garage and also to allow a door that's tall enough for him to actually access the garage and park his personal recreational vehicles inside of it, rather than storing them outside. The need for this variance is further highlighted by the existing conditions on site. As you'll see on the site plan that was submitted with the materials, the lot is very narrow. There's also an existing home on the site, a single-story home, a pool above ground, and a garage that sits in the back of the property that serves as storage. The current garage, however, is inadequate for its intended purposes without substantial renovations, which may not even be feasible due to the low height of the doors and the lack of water to that building. And I know there were some questions about that from a member of the public who had opposed the project, and I'll walk through that in more detail. Mr. Wright's a retired contractor with a woodworking hobby and has faced challenges due to repeated skin cancer incidents and requires an indoor space for woodworking. And the proposed pole building will not only facilitate that space, but will also provide a functional garage space, helping him to maintain a tidy and aesthetically pleasing yard during his retirement. Importantly, the proposed height is consistent with dimensions of other similar structures nearby and in the area, and it does not exceed the height of many other structures in the area. There's 2-story homes nearby, there's a larger pole building across the street, not too far, a couple parcels over, there's a large doctor's office, which is multiple stories as well. In terms of the criteria here, the quick check criteria control, which were addressed point by point in the supplement to the original application, and also the town standards were also addressed in that supplement to the application. The quick check factors include, first, the nature of the zone in which the property lies, 2, the character of the immediate vicinity and uses contained therein, 3, whether if the restriction upon applicant's property were removed, such removal would seriously affect such neighboring property and uses, and 4, whether if the restriction is not removed, the restriction would create unnecessary hardship or exceptional practical difficulty for the owner in relation to his efforts to make normal improvements in character of that use of the property, which is a permitted use under the use provisions of the ordinance. As for the first consideration, the property is located in an R1, a residential district, and that permits this building here accessory structures. It does also allow for more than one accessory structure, which I'll address in more detail. I know that was a concern of one member of the public. As to the second consideration, the vicinity consists of single-family homes and larger accessory structures, and also commercial uses. There's a contractor space across the street in a large, taller pole building, a doctor office, like I mentioned, that's multiple stories, rental property that's actually it was an Airbnb and is now actually rented out on an annual basis that sits on that front piece to the left of Mr. Wright's property. There's also a new nearby bakery and restaurant. So this is really mixed use in character, not strictly residential. As to the third factor, the requested variance is not going to adversely affect neighboring properties. The design includes buffers and screening that's already in existence, And I know one resident was also concerned about whether or not there could be additional screening provided. Mr. Wright intends to plant additional screening. He intends to plant screening on both sides of the property, approximately 60 trees actually, and evergreens is what he's looking to do on both sides, which will serve for additional screening there. And finally, denying the variances would prevent Mr. Wright from constructing a building that meets his practical needs for storage and recreational activities, significantly limiting his enjoyment of the property. It would also necessitate keeping his vehicles and boats outside, which are currently on his Maryland property, but from time to time are kept at this property, from being able to be stored inside, which would detract not only from his property, but also the surrounding community. So from a practical perspective, it's our position that there's no reason to deny Mr. Wright the ability to construct the pool building at the proposed height. And if the height was permitted, it would not seriously affect nearby properties and uses, allowing it to be built at this site, and would allow for indoor storage of his belongings to the greatest extent possible. Before concluding and answering any questions that you may have, I did want to take a moment to address some of the specific questions and concerns that I haven't already from one of the opposition letters that was received. So I mentioned this briefly, but in terms of the existence of an accessory structure, there was a claim that our application and materials failed to indicate that there was an accessory structure already on site. That's not true. I looked back at our materials, of course, to double check. Our application materials included a cover letter that explicitly detailed the presence of the building on site already, and also detailed and explained why it was impractical to be used as a garage. And to expand upon that, the structure, it has hand-cranked doors, insufficient height, and it's just not suitable for parking his personal vehicles and his boats. Also, as part of the materials, 2 photographs of that building were also submitted with our application. So we did, in fact, to the contrary claim that we did address that there is an existing accessory structure on site. I've mentioned already there's no prohibition against multiple accessory structures on site, and I would add that in reality, Mr. Wright could construct a accessory building either way at a lower height without needing a variance. The concern that the proposed height is problematic is not supported by the facts. The proposed building will be approximately the same height as Mr. Wright's 1-story home, and it fits into the neighborhood. There are taller buildings in the vicinity, and the design includes ample screening, not only what's existing, but also what's proposed, to mitigate any potential visual impacts. And it's difficult to understand how building at this height, given other heights around that are taller than it, which align with others in the area, and is shorter than those buildings, could be deemed harmful or out of character. In terms of the perception of commercial use, the claim that the resident, that Mr. Wright here will be looking at, or other residents would be looking at a property that would resemble commercial property, is misleading. The reality is that residents already overlook commercial properties and other non-residential uses nearby. The surrounding area, as I mentioned, is a mix of residential and commercial, so that's already the case. And just to be clear, Mr. Wright's proposal is entirely consistent with this area, and he has no plans for operating commercial business. Also, I wanted to mention that Mr. Wright, specifically, his goal here is, again, to store all of his vehicles inside. He truly believes that it'll be a better situation to have all of these personal belongings inside than kept outside. That is really the primary goal. There's no commercial plans. There's no plans to rent either building. Also, I know that was another point that we needed to address. So I believe I've addressed all of that neighbor's concerns. Of course, I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have or that any members of the public have as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. I just want to clarify a point that Mackenzie was making. While I do not disagree that the overall character of the area could be perceived as mixed use, the actual businesses that were pointed out, the baker, the Mikan Builders, and the medical building, are not located within a municipal boundary of the town of Ocean View.
Do you know what the height of the existing garage is?
I know it's 2 stories. I don't know the exact height.
Do you
And I
know,
believe
sir?
that's why it's non-conforming. I believe that's at least one of the reasons.
I just wonder if the new garage is going to be taller or shorter than the existing.
It would be shorter than,
Shorter.
shorter than, because it's still single story. Whereas a typical 2 stories, 20 to 25 feet, I would say about, of a 2-story building typically. So this will be a shorter, a 1-story building rather than a 2-story building. But would accommodate and the reason being is the roof pitch, so we don't have a flat roof, as well as the need for the garage door opening to be at 12 feet.
I just want to clarify something. You said that the other garage will stay. That's not going away.
Correct.
Then my question comes back to something that happened, I think, recently. Since that garage was built in '98, which was before the comprehensive plan, wouldn't that, and now that they're coming back for a variance, wouldn't that garage need a variance also?
It's, how do I phrase this? If they wanted it to be no longer deemed an existing non-conforming structure and therefore have the ability to potentially improve it in the future, they would have to request that variance additionally.
So as long as they're not doing anything to
If
it.
it is to remain as it is, then it does not need a variance just because we're here today talking about a different variance.
And to be clear, it is to remain as is, and it's not going to be used and can't be used right now without substantial improvements I know there was concern again about a dwelling. I mean, it would need substantial renovations, connection to utilities, et cetera. That's just not what's planned.
Has your client put in writing that he would be willing to build, to plant trees around? I know you stated that, but.
No, but I can have him speak on the record if you would like to confirm that and get that on the record, which I'll have him do anyways, just to confirm that the statements I made are true and accurate. We can have him get sworn in, and then I can ask him that question and ask him to confirm. Okay. Yes, sir.
So on the application, the purpose for the 18-foot height is to accommodate the larger garage door.
Yes, sir.
So the larger garage door is for an RV and a boat.
Both.
That won't do a normal garage height.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
But the other purpose in the application, if I remember correctly, for the 18-foot height was to get the proper
Roof pitch.
Roof pitch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Thanks.
Okay, my question is,
Yes,
with this new garage, is there going to be any facility to water? Because the concern is always, are they going to put an apartment eventually?
There actually are no initial plans for water
Initial
hookup.
plans, but
It's not to say that Mr. Wright could not eventually connect to water there. It'll be in close proximity to his house, but there's no plans for a residential dwelling to be there, and I believe it's not permitted. Yeah, I was going to say.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's done this way, so it's grandfathered in type of thing.
I see, no, and yeah, as I understood it, it wasn't permitted anyways.
Thank you.
Are there any restrictions by the town on RVs or boats of any size to be parked on somebody's property or in a structure or no?
They need to be parked behind the front face of the dwelling, and they need to be 5 feet from the property line.
I believe there might be a requirement too that, tags or they should have
Everything has
identification,
to be,
right, like in order.
Has to be properly
And so
registered.
all of that would be complied with, right. Were there any other initial questions? If not, I'd like to have my client come up.
I just want, there's nothing in the existing garage? It's just empty?
It's
not
storage.
used for anything?
It's used for storage, but limited storage because Mr. Wright would like to be able to put all of his personal vehicles, recreational vehicles, et cetera. And it's all the way in the back of his property. It's a long lot, and so he wants to have, that proximity, the close proximity for storage there as well.
So that's at the rear of the lot line, pretty much?
Yes.
The existing ones?
Yes, it's actually within it's within the building line restrictions though. It meets the setbacks, but it's the non-conformity, my understanding is the height.
Okay, so it meets the setback, it's not butting up against the property behind it?
No, and there's a buffer there, and then the school is what's to the rear.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Wright, could you come up, please? I'm going to have Mr. Walton swear you in.
Mr. Wright, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so the first question I wanted to have you answer is, are all the statements I made on the record true and accurate? And of course, if the answer is no, please correct the record and expand upon what needs to be corrected.
Yes, everything that was said is true and accurate.
Thank you. And then the second question, to Mr. Koppel's point and question, do you intend to plant additional screening on the property?
Yes, I do.
And what would that screening be, sir?
Green Giants is what after right now.
And approximately how many?
I've got 50 on order. I'd like to screen, around the whole property, so it's, kind of screened.
Were there any other questions?
When we get there.
Anybody else? Any questions from the board members?
No.
No? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Lober to speak, and then we'll take public comment.
Okay. So, anticipating that we may be discussing buffers today, because we've discussed it in the past for a very similar application, if you guys remember correctly, I just want to point out that in learning the hard way, what we would recommend if you choose to condition an approval today on buffer requirement, that you be very specific about the location of that buffer, the width of that buffer, the length of that buffer, and then what you expect to be planted in that buffer. Specifically, what types of plants and a minimum height at planting time.
Yep, thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak either for or against the application? Please.
And I didn't do a mass swearing this time, so I'll do each one at a time.
Hi, Beverly Rogers, 10 Lake Village Circle.
Ms. Rogers, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do. First of all, my property backs right onto that unsightly garage in the back. That's here nor there. Our neighborhood has already been accommodating as regards the school footbridge, a very unfortunate necessity. The two projects are dissimilar, yet have a cumulative effect on the tranquility and the values of our neighborhood. The new building proposed is enormous, 32 feet by 50. It is a long, narrow lot, and this building would practically fill it. If you look at the property, it's amazing that someone could even comprehend building something that big. The trees are not on this gentleman's property, but they belong to the neighbors on Lake Village Circle. Years ago, an arborist, a professional arborist, came and diagnosed most of the trees as having a blight. What we could not see when we purchased the home about 4.5 years ago, there are all these dead areas now in these cryptomeria. So this buffer is slowly dying, and it will be our responsibility at great expense to get them removed and replanted, and it will take, let's see, the homes have been there about 20 years. It'll take them 20 years to be what they are now, which is, I can't even say, they're taller than this building. This building and the view we would see from all along our street would be an eyesore. There's no way around it. To see a garage, a house, and then this other building that we can already see through our trees. It's not a deep lot, but we see this building already. My curiosity was sort of stimulated here when I read the letter that the city sent, and it only mentioned the variance as far as the height went. And I thought, a 32 by 50 foot building isn't something that's cause for concern? Would you want that in your backyard? And truly, this is practically in our backyards. They're not deep lots. I wonder what the ultimate goal is for the property. Yes, it's residential now, but because there are commercial properties around, what's to say, oh, you know, it's already there, let's just make it commercial? Our neighborhood is primarily, it's a year-round community. We are not beach rentals who, you know, people might not mind what's behind them because they're gonna stay a week or two. We live there. So anyway, please deny this request. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So, real
Please
quick,
come forward.
Greg, if I could give you a point of clarification.
Yes.
The building, the only reason we're here for a variance for height today, I shouldn't say, the reason we're here for a variance for height only is because the dimensions of the building are within setbacks that are required, and because the lot is larger than your average lot, the lot coverage is also compliant.
I was going to ask about that. So lot coverage is not an issue here. Okay.
Hi, I'm Cindy Schaub at 8 Lake Village Circle.
Ms. Schaub, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I guess if you're saying that we're only here for the variant of the size of the building, then I wanted to speak on some concerns that the neighborhood had. There was rumor that there was woodworking to be done in this new building. Is it going to be a business? Is it a hobby? Is it, what is the woodworking and the noise from woodworking? If there's going to be woodworking in the building at some point, I've been in my house 20 years. When we first moved there on this property, there was a young man who would drive a car around constantly. We couldn't sit out on the patio. I will tell you, I can hear a conversation from his property. So if there's going to be any kind of business or woodworking or anything in there, we're going to hear it. And it's going to be a noise ordinance problem if so. I don't know what kind of woodworking you do or what kind of whatever you do. So it's, that would be a problem for us also. But if we can't address that today, I think we needed to have those answers for our HOA to be able to bring it to them and say, to get the whole group together, because we've not been given any other than the structure of the building. And we should be able to have some other information also, I think.
Thank you. Question, is this property in a homeowners association?
No.
No.
Next to it. I looked for 3 years before I found this property. I thought I found the right property, but there's actually, there's actually on the same amount of property I have. There's actually 4 houses that they built behind my property. The property's 500 feet deep, so a 50-foot building is going to be like 10% of the property. Not, you know, it's not going to take up 500 feet. It's going to be 50 feet.
Did you want to say anything about woodworking and noise?
Yeah, I've been doing woodworking in the garage when I've been down there. I don't know if anyone's heard anything, but most of the woodworking is going to be in the garage, and the building's going to be for storage for wood and you know, my vehicles. The door on the garage is only 7 feet tall. I can't even fit my pickup truck in there. So you're saying your woodworking is going to be in the old building? Correct. The existing building, and it's also in a flood zone as well. The back corner of the property is in a flood zone. So, yes, sir.
Now, your application, the woodworking was described as a hobby.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's not a commercial.
No. I had a tree removal business, and I was a business owner for almost 50 years, and I hated to waste wood, and I saved wood for about 25 years. So, you know, it's a hobby, and I donate most of the stuff to charities and what have you.
So will the old building have enough power?
It's got 220 in there, okay. Yeah.
So basically, you can do woodworking now. I mean, you are doing woodworking now in there, right? In the old building?
That's correct.
That's correct, okay.
Yeah.
Wait a
And
minute.
that does need to be
We
corrected.
jumped a little ahead of ourselves. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak on this application?
Yes. Sorry.
My name's Jim Zanzinger. I live at 7 Lake Village Circle, Ocean View.
Sir, do you swear
I
or
swear.
affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I swear. We live in a development that abuts the property, 12 homes. One of the things that we like about it is that it's residential. And when we looked at the property and the size of the building that's going to be there, if the woodworking is going to be done in the garage, there's going to be an RV, boats, and everything else stored in this huge building. There are a lot of other places that you can store RVs and boats in Ocean View. And I think it's just going to take away from the impact of the look, the aesthetics of the community. One of the things that we as neighbors look at is that if you're looking at the property, you're talking about arborvitaes and green giants and that type of thing. There needs to be a feasibility study, I would think, for you or something to be prepared to show that those things would be planted and installed and a time frame, because there's no other building that's that big in our surrounding area. So I just wanted to bring that up to you and let you know that, as a community, 12 homes, our HOA is very active, and then we've had some, issues in the past with some things that have been told us that never developed, and we just don't want that thing to happen again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak?
My name is Wayne Rogers.
Come up and talk into the mic.
My name is Wayne Rogers. I live at 10 Lake Village Circle in Ocean View, Delaware.
Mr. Rogers.
19970.
Mr. Rogers, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
The letter I read from the attorney, it started in part of it, it talked about the buffer. And so I looked up what a buffer meant. A buffer zone is a designed area supporting different land uses. That's the definition of it. The second definition, it aims to minimize between incompatible uses such as residential and industrial. The reason we bought our house is it is truly residential. It's in a community that backs up, and when we bought it, we couldn't see the two-story garage that's directly behind my house. I mean, directly behind my house. And just take for a second that he builds this other one that's closer to his house. It'll be right behind their house. And then if you have a vacant building and then a great big building and then a house, one small structure, that's the house, and then two large structures, and you're trying to sell your house, that'll have an impact. It doesn't make any difference, but I'm a certified general appraiser in this state. So I actually have done a lot of takings in Montgomery County, Maryland. And the one key when we took takings is we knew we were going to be to the benefit of the majority, but we made certain that the person that was getting hurt was made whole. We always made him whole. Always made him whole. Now, if they want to make us as a community whole, I think we have something to talk about. But if they want to make it so my house is worth less money and I haven't done anything wrong, then I really would dislike that. Now, the last thing, and I'll leave in a second, is this building that won't be used anymore does happen to back up to the school. Now, we know all about the school because they put in a bridge that the hope is the bridge never gets used. But before it was built, and we really did try to work on this, is that it was a footbridge. Now, the bridge that was built is actually a car could drive across it. We were told the bridge would be kind of like hidden, this bridge stands out like a neon. So this is my front yard, is the bridge, and it really is my bridge, is my front yard. And this great big hole in the wall, this 2-story garage is in my backyard. Now, if a house stays or a building stays vacant for a long enough time, then you get rodents and snakes. Do you think the school that had built this bridge is going to want that? Do you want that for your children? That's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Can I ask for clarification?
Hang on just 1 minute. Let's finish the public comment.
Okay,
You're going
sorry.
to get another. I just want to make sure, is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak on this application? Hearing that, Mackenzie, and then, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure we were done with the
All right,
public
that's
comment.
good. In reading the proposal, my understanding was in the new building, he was going to have the vehicles, a boat, and a woodworking shop. Is that correct?
That was also my understanding initially.
Okay.
But after today, I'm understanding that now, if you want to get up again and just, we need to correct the record, which is what I was going to do. But just to confirm that you're going to actually be woodworking still in the back garage.
Yes.
Okay.
So currently you're there now, doing woodwork in the garage.
That's
With, and just to confirm, there's also storage in the back building as well.
Yeah, there's
Limited
storage, yeah.
My
So those
understanding
uses-
is that the reason you're asking for a variance, height variance, is because of your RV. What class is your RV?
I'm not really sure. I think it's a Class A, but I'm not really sure. I had to let the air out of the tires to get my boat in there last year in the other garage. It's a 9-foot door, and it's a Boston Whaler, and I had to let the air out of the trailer tires, and it made it in by maybe a 1/4 inch, and you know.
So you're sure that the 14-foot would not meet the requirement to allow you to get your...
Yeah, because
It was-
the pitch of the roof, you need it, I think, I'm not a carpenter, but the pitch of the roof, I think, is like at least 4 or 5 feet, you know, from the roof to the top of the building. The top of the building would be, I think
I know
think
that
it's 12 feet or...
the proposed is 12, but I know in prior conversations asked you to confirm on the record, if the height of the building was what you, at 14 feet, that door would only be 9 feet, correct?
Right.
If you were not to
Yeah,
get an
yeah,
18
correct,
foot, the
correct.
other design that would be code
Right,
compliant is
right.
only 9 feet, which is
Yeah.
what you already have in the back.
Yeah, that's
So the
correct.
issue is the building itself, how it's structured, how it's built, and the pitch at the top, right?
Yes.
To allow for the door, a garage door opening to be high enough to allow his personal recreational vehicles to park inside.
All right, let me ask one more question, I promise I'll quit. The only issue here is the height variance. The building has no, I mean, if you built this at 14 feet, the
Right.
building has no bearing at all.
Correct.
That's right. You can sit down.
Yeah.
If it's all right, I'd also like to point out in the home-based business section of the code, it sounds like this is leaning more hobby, even charity donations. However, a woodworking shop, cabinetry, that is a permitted home-based business. There is a license and some parameters that go with it, but it is permitted if you go through the home-based business portion of the code. So again, it's not prohibited, even if he were to sort of go that route. I'm not saying that
He's not
is,
right.
but I just want to point that out. The code doesn't expressly prohibit this in a residential zone.
Thank you. Ma'am.
And one further point to address some comments that were made earlier, a single lot grading plan submission will be required along with this should the variance be granted. So we will have an opportunity to review the grading plan that goes along with the construction of the building, and any conditions that you place on approval today, should you offer one. We will ensure that those conditions are met prior to offering approval of that grading.
Thank you.
And the building will be used primarily, or is it fair to say 100% for storage?
That's right, it's
Of
residential.
Vehicles?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for residential, not commercial use, yes. I did want to just briefly walk through a couple other points that were made, and then answer any final questions, and then we'll be done. But
just to confirm, the existing garage that was there, my client again purchased the property in October of 2024. I did not build that existing garage. I know it was mentioned as being unsightly. It wasn't something he built. It's there, and as mentioned, he will be installing screening along the property lines there. That is his intention. And I know we've discussed his plans to install evergreens as well as screening trees in that sparse portion as well. So that will be addressed. It's not relevant anyways to today's application, but I just wanted to point it out. With respect to that opening in the buffer area that I described, or vegetation screening area, however you want to describe it, towards the back of the property. Again, I know we've already made the point, but he could build a 32 by 50 building either way. We're here to talk about height. Again, to reinforce, woodworking is a hobby. And just a final point, there's no taking here. There's no taking of property here, anything like that, as to the last comment made, and I'm unaware, I don't believe there's any appraisal in the record or anything like that with respect, that would be able to confirm a reduction in property values of anyone nearby. I think that's it. I'll answer any questions that you may have, if any.
I have a question. I'd like you to clarify this, looking through the information that we've been given. Is the existing building that someone said was property was there before?
Right.
Before he bought it?
Yes.
Okay. And in deference to where this is, where does he intend to build?
Approximately in the middle of the property. So if you were looking at that picture specifically, if you see, actually these pictures are not great, I'm sorry, but there's trees that are there's some chairs that are approximately in the middle of the property. That is where approximately the building will be located. Okay. And it's also shown on the site plan too. Yeah, that's in there.
Okay, thank you.
So I did have one other question to follow up on something Mr. Lober said.
Yes.
I know you said you got 50 trees on order. How big are those trees?
They're 5 foot.
Okay, thank you.
And they grow.
Thanks.
Would your client be willing to submit in writing what his plans for planting and buffer are, and show on the drawing where they would be?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would like for us to be able to see
Have
that
some sort of landscape plan.
as a condition of any approval of your variance. And if you're willing to do that, we'd be willing then to take a look at it and incorporate that into our deliberation.
Can I ask
We don't want to tell you what you should do. We want you to tell us what you plan to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Mr. Lober?
So I want to clarify if you're requiring he come back with a landscape plan for your review, or whether you're going to condition a possible approval on a landscape plan that then we would review.
I have the same question.
What would you prefer?
I would prefer that we condition the application and come to closure today, and if that requires a
And then the
condition of
town
plan
staff will review and say,
along.
this is good, this, okay. All right, that would be fine with me.
Can I ask, I'm sorry, one more
It's okay.
question. I'm still stuck on the pitch of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that if you're 4 feet away, if the pitch goes away, then you could meet the requirement. I mean, if the garage door is 9 feet, is that correct?
The proposed garage door?
Yeah, garage
No,
door.
it's 12 feet.
12 feet.
Yeah, we could, if the pitch was at 14 feet, he could only get a 9-foot opening, which is not sufficient to park his vehicles in the garage. And so the design of the building has an 18-foot pitch separation and then 12-foot door opening.
That answers my question.
Yes.
Do you have anything else?
Nothing else.
Do you want to close the public hearing?
Yes. There's no one else that wishes to speak? We'll.
If you've already spoken.
Could we ask that we hold up so that we can take this information back to our HOA and come back with also, and not make a decision on this today? With what we've got.
Well, I'm confused because this property is not part of the HOA. So what they do with their property or what we approve is not involve the HOA as far as I would understand. So, well, the property is not part of the homeowners association, so I don't know how to address that.
All right, it's my recommendation that you close the public hearing, because this is not a back and forth. You get an opportunity for public comment, you get an opportunity for written comment, the applicant makes their case, and you guys make the decision. So that would be my recollection.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
We will close the public comment period at this time. Thank you for all of your participation. And are there any other questions or comments from the board members?
Not I.
Shall we get a motion then?
So your motion should be in the affirmative, so vote should go approve, and if you want to vote against it, vote no.
Right. I will make a motion that we approve the variance, conditioned on the applicant coming forward with a written plan for planting and buffer to be reviewed by the town staff before final approval.
Can you say before building permit?
Pardon me?
Before building permit.
Oh, yes, absolutely, before a building permit is issued.
Because that, just to clarify why I said that, this variance, once it's in, is done, but then that would give time to do it before a building permit.
Yes, okay.
So we have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second. Max.
Just for the benefit, if we're going that route, as Jim stated earlier, we would like some parameters. Are the Green Giants acceptable? Is the 5 feet planting acceptable? Do you want them on both sides? We need a little bit more specifics to review when something comes in. So just please also detail what you're expecting us to be looking for on that plan. We will, of course, review it and make sure it meets the intent of your vote and condition here tonight, but we need a little bit more from you guys to do that. Thank
Would it be
you.
sufficient to say 55 foot?
Yes.
Green
Green
Giants.
Giants.
Located on either side.
On both sides.
Either side of the
So you say from the house back, the front of the residential structure to the back of the lot, both sides?
So what do you want to say?
Is that, I mean,
I wouldn't put it that tight. I'd let those guys review it.
Okay.
Type, location, right, type, location,
But
size.
the main idea I think that I have is that we want to cut down the visibility of the new structure itself. So the location of the buffer should give priority to both sides of the proposed new construction. And then if there are planting left, then they can go beside the house, beside the old garage in the back, wherever it makes the most sense. But my concern is that we do whatever we can to buffer the visibility of the new structure.
So can you amend your motion to talk about just what you said?
Okay.
So I'd like to make an amendment to my motion.
All right.
50 you follow me?
Right, based on this discussion, I'd like to make an amendment to my motion to approve. And that amendment is that the planting of the buffer give favor to limiting the visibility of the proposed new structure, that there be at least 50 of the, which ones are we?
Green Giant.
Green Giants of at least 5 foot in height, and that any remaining would be distributed along the sides of the property, either to buffer the house or the existing garage in the back.
With approval from the town.
With approval of your plan by the town staff.
Well, now he's made an amendment. Do you second again?
I second it.
Okay, that's our motion.
That's our-
Both of them together.
Okay. Let's vote.
I agree with what's been said prior by the other board members, and I vote yes.
Hold on, I'm gonna start this side this time. Because I picked on you enough. So So what is your vote?
My vote is to go, to agree to the amendment that Greg has made concerning the buffer zone to exceed and with the 50-foot roof.
Okay, all right. But the variance here is for the height.
For the height.
That's the actual variance. So let's talk about the nature of the zone where the property lies. Do you think that this height variance is good for that?
His height variance was 58, yes.
Yep. What's your consideration of the character of the immediate vicinity and the uses contained therein? Will this variance alter it?
No.
Okay.
There, you have your development, I know the street because I'm on Central all the time, or, anyway, I know that and I understand that where you're going to, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And if the restriction were removed, would such removal affect or seriously affect neighboring property and uses? That means the height.
The height has to be maintained of the 50, of the, how many you said?
No, I'm talking about the height of the building.
The building. Yeah, yes.
Okay. And then, so would it seriously affect neighboring property and uses if the height variance were granted?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And has the applicant dated or established exceptional practical difficulty?
Yes.
Why?
Because of the situation of having the height for the garage doors to go up, he has to have the height of the building.
Okay.
So.
All right. And so is your vote yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
My vote is yes, with the same comment as Ms. Kerwin.
I approve the variance based on the exceptional practical difficulty caused by the greater dimension of the building needing a better pitch, roof pitch, and the fact that the purpose for the building is to store RVs and an RV in a boat that's going to require a bigger door than a 14-foot height would allow. So I would also like to add that if approved, that the applicant must adhere to Town Code 140-25-A5, which prohibits overnight lodging and accessory structures, which would include the proposed pole building and the existing garage.
So just to clarify your vote, do you vote yes on the variance?
Yes.
And do you incorporate the statements?
I was getting ready to say.
Okay.
And I incorporate the previous comments of the board members.
I gotta say, this was a hard one for me. I mean, it really was, because I thought of the neighbors. But I guess what put me over it was the fact that you were willing to plant trees that would, at some point, that to me does demonstrate you're a good neighbor. So I think you do meet the exceptional practical standard for the variance, and I'm gonna vote yes.
And do you incorporate the reasons?
And I incorporate the comments of
the prior board members?
Of the board members and the applicant.
Thank you.
I too vote yes, and I think for me as well, it made a big difference, the willingness to commit to planting a substantial buffer of green giants in between the property, both sides. And I also incorporate all of the prior comments from the other board members.
So the variance is granted, the application is granted, it's 5-0. I know before we went on to the last, Jill, I know you had some things you wanted to talk about.
Yes, Sue. We just wanted to thank you for 10 years plus of service to this board. You've been wonderful. You've been our mother hen. You've been here all the time through all sorts of difficulties in your life. You've seen a lot of things here. And I know Ken really appreciates all that you've done. And he's got some thoughts here too. So thank you. It means a lot to us.
You're more than welcome. It was my pleasure, and also a great lesson for me as the educator of 38 years, for me to learn new things.
Thank you.
So it was very, thank you very much.
And Sue, I'd like to add, I really heartfelt thank you for your 10+ years of service to the town of Ocean. Your commitment to being here for every meeting, and there's been some big ones. There's been Barn Hill, the nature,
Oh, yeah.
the petting zoo,
There's been some
the
nasty.
mini golf,
Oh, yeah, there's been some nasty
the
letters
brew
and
pub,
words
the
and
cell tower.
and name calling. I'm still getting the repercussions for that,
So
believe it or not.
you've been an asset to the town, and all the town's planning staff truly appreciate your
Thank you.
efforts.
And you guys have been great. Thank you very much. And I put it in good hands, guys. But make sure you have a woman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have, we have one remaining item.
Yeah, yes, no, I will because I.
Yes, I'm going to come forward.
And they can take this last one quick. They're going to Virginia.
Thank you.
You want to announce the next one?
Our final agenda item is application V-470. And I understand that Ms. Kerwin is going to recuse herself because she has an association with the applicants. So I just want the applicants to understand that it does take 3 yes votes to approve an application, and there will only be 4 of us, so you'll need 3 out of 4 yes votes. Mr. Lober, are you going
Yes,
to
thank you, Greg.
present?
Application V-470 submitted by the property owners Jeffrey and Elizabeth Bird in conjunction with their contractor Time Builders requests relief from Article 5, Section 14032 with regard to the maximum allowable projection of an attached accessory structure into the required rear yard setback, and from Article 5, Section 14028 with regard to maximum allowable lot coverage on property zoned R1 single-family residential located at 19 North Horseshoe Drive, PIDN 004.200. The property owners wish to construct a 3-season room addition on the rear of their home that will project 12 feet into the required 30-foot setback. The additional impervious associated with the project increases the overall lot coverage to 37%, which exceeds the maximum allowable lot coverage of 35% by 2%. A variance is outlined in Article 17, Section 140-108 with the following definitions. A variance is relief from the strict application of the provisions of this chapter. When owing to special conditions or exceptional situations, a literal interpretation of this chapter will result in exceptional practical difficulties to the property owner. Article 17, Section 140-108G lists the required findings for the granting of a variance. Required findings pursuant to Title 22, Section 327 of the Delaware Code and applicable law, the Board of Adjustment shall determine whether each variance application meets the following criteria. 1, the variance relates to a specific parcel of land and the hardship is not shared generally by the other properties in the same zoning district and vicinity. 2, the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. 3, the benefits from granting the variance would substantially outweigh any detriment. 4, approval of the variance would not substantially impair the intent and purposes of the comprehensive plan or this chapter. And 5, that all requirements for the granting of variance under Delaware law are met. The department's comments. The department is in receipt of 2 letters from adjacent property owners in support of the application. These letters are included in the board's packets. As part of their submission, the applicant has provided a copy of a notice of decision from variance application V200, which was submitted by a previous property owner, Emmanuel Queen, and heard by the Town of Ocean View's Board of Adjustment on October 19, 2006, concerning the property at 19 North Horseshoe Drive. At the hearing, the board granted a variance for an existing 12 by 12 deck to encroach 12 feet into the rear yard setback. The board then denied a variance for the same deck to be enclosed. Their reasons for both are cited in the notice of decision. It is the department's interpretation that should the property owner wish to maintain the existing deck or reconstruct it in kind within the existing footprint, that they would be able to do so based on the previous variance. However, the property owner desires to remove the existing 12 by 12 deck associated with the variance V200 and replace it with a 3-season room which will be 12 by 18 feet, which qualifies as a new attached accessory structure and therefore requires a variance of its own. The encroachment of 12 feet into the required 30-foot rear yard setback would be the same. A survey of the property prepared by Miller Lewis Land Surveying dated 3/17/26 shows that the existing lot coverage is 36%, including the 12 by 12 deck associated with variance B200. The removal of the deck and construction of the 3-season room would result in an overall lot coverage of 37%, which exceeds the maximum of 35% by 2%.
Thank you. So, Mr. Lober, then this is really a two-part variance?
Two variants.
It's for the setback and also for exceeding the lot coverage. That's correct. Okay, thank you very much. And are you going to present? Thank you.
I'm Jeffrey Bird, 19 North Horseshoe Drive.
Mr. Bird, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to hear our request. My wife and I bought our house 19 North Horseshoe on September 11th, 2012, and visited the property year-round during the first 11 years that we owned the property. We moved in full-time on July 1st, 2023, and we have loved living in Ocean View and especially in country estates, and have worked to beautify the property, including improved landscaping around the whole place. We re-roofed it with architectural shingles. In addition, we removed a dilapidated fence that was along the back of the house and replaced it with a beautiful redwood stained fence. Our overall goal is to improve the aesthetics of the house and the property. The rear of the house was a very basic deck that needs work and has a retractable awning over the deck that still works, but has seen actually better days. The current physical footprint on the property that you see on the recent survey is the exact same footprint as when we bought the house back in 2012, and we believe the same footprint in 2007, according to the previous owners, when the variance of the deck was received by the previous owners. With the previous variance, there is that 12 by 12 deck on the back of the house that encroaches 12 feet into the 30-foot setback. It's the same distance from the property line as the screened porch that is on the back of the house at 20 Colt Lane, which is the back of our property. Except that screened porch on the back of that property happens to be much larger. So it's 12 approximately by about 18 feet. Since we use our deck regularly during at least 9 months of the year and plan to do so no matter what happens today, because we'd have to do something with that deck, we would like to put in a 3-seasons room on the rear of the house that is 18 by 12, encroaching into the setback the same distance as the current deck does under the current variance. With this project, our goal is to beautify the back of the house for our neighbors, and that little bit of extra width would add nice symmetry to the back of the house, adding to that aesthetics. We also aim to be able to close the windows on the room to enhance soundproofing for our neighbors when necessary. Both the neighbor behind at 20 Colt Lane and next to us at 17 North Horseshoe have screened-in porches on the back of their homes, so we fully appreciate the need at sometimes to be able to close the windows when using those spaces. With the current deck that already has a variance, the recent survey states that we're at 36% coverage of the property. By adding a 3-seasons room that is 18 by 12, we would be at 36.74% of the property, which was rounded up to 37%. Thereby increasing our overall square footage on the property by 72 square feet according to the survey. We have presented the plans to our neighbors, what it will look like, and talked with all of the adjacent neighbors, including 20 Colt Lane behind us, 17 North Horseshoe, and 21 North Horseshoe on either side. All 3 neighbors, you have 2 of them in front of us. The other neighbor has texted and said it looks good and is not here today to speak. So all 3 have supported the project. Since the sign has gone up on our front lawn 2 weeks ago, we have had conversations with at least 10 of our neighbors on North Horseshoe Winchester Drive. It's a circle, and all have been very supportive. The number of neighbors that have stopped by has reinforced our love for the neighborhood of Country Estates. It's amazing when you put that up on the property, the number of people that will drive by and stop and read it, see what's going on. And then when you're walking around the neighborhood, we'll stop you and ask you about the project and want to know what's going on. Beth and I would like to thank the board for considering our request for the continued encroachment of the 12 feet into the setback. to build this Three Seasons room and to allow us to add the 72 square feet on our overall footprint on the property. Thank you, and I'm willing to answer any questions.
I do have some foundational questions
Mhm.
before the board talks. Can you just talk, you heard me ask these questions already today, so I'm going to ask them the same ones of you. What is the nature of the zone in which the property lies? It's country estates residential?
Yes.
And is it going to impact any residential uses?
No.
All right. And if the restriction that's on the house is removed, right, would such removal seriously affect such neighboring property and uses? Would it affect your neighbors?
It would affect the structure as it would be built, and it would definitely affect the aesthetics of where it's located on the back of the house.
I guess what I'm saying, would it seriously affect any of your neighbors if this is?
No, oh no, it would not. Sorry, I misunderstood. It would not affect our neighbors, and they have answered to that effect.
And you've heard me. Sorry, I'm just going through the test.
I understand.
And so, what is your exceptional practical difficulty as you as the owner in relation to your efforts to make normal improvements in the character of the property?
To be able to utilize the back of that back of the house. We currently have the deck. We have the variance for it. We could resurface that deck, but to be able to provide for our neighbors a much quieter environment compared to what we get on either neighbor on either side that have the screen and porches and use it for parties.
I'm good.
Okay. I have I think it's an important question, and I don't think it's in the, you talk about all your neighbors supporting it. Are you part of a formal HOA, or
No.
is this just informal?
Yeah, there is no HOA. We don't
Okay.
have those codes, so Country Estates is on its own. So really, it's the neighborhood that gets out there and talks
Because that's
to each other.
important. You'd need approval of the HOA if.
Well, I don't need an approval for the HOA, no.
And just housekeeping, again, Ms. Oliver, the property was posted, as we've heard. Affected neighboring properties were notified in writing, and the notice of this meeting was published in the local paper.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen?
Yes.
I have just one question for you. The variance for the deck, the 12 by 12 deck, that's been in effect for 20 years, right? Okay. I want to get my math right.
Yes.
What I'm understanding too is that you're not going further into the setback, you're just widening.
Yes. 76 square feet wider.
And that widening to 18 feet results in a 1% increase in your lot coverage.
Yeah, 0.67%, but 1% rounded up. Yes.
We always round up, don't we?
Well, we do, right. We do, but the numbers, it's just that the numbers on the survey
I
actually
understand.
gives that
The
perspective.
construction tolerance thing.
Yes,
They
right.
come
I
back
understand.
with 0.68, so.
I understand. I mean, in my mind, the change from 36 to 37 is trivial, and I don't think would impact my decision to approve this one way or the other. So I just state that for the record. Anyone else? We have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the variance based on a exceptional practical difficulty that exists in the confused. I just don't see that much difference that a variance for a 12-foot, extending a 12-foot deck to the 30-foot line doesn't change, in my mind, it doesn't change what you're going to put there.
But before there's a second, just can I offer an amendment to your motion? And so I think the motion itself should read, right? It's a variance from Article 14032 to allow a proposed attached accessory structure, a three-season room, to project 12 foot into the required 30-foot or required 30-foot rear setback, and 2, a variance to allow an existing and proposed structure that had from a lot coverage of 37, which exceeds the maximum allowable lot coverage of 35. So if you said just so moved, and then we could
say so moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Now, is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, all right. And you've already stated your reasons, so you're good.
My turn? Yeah, I approve the variance based upon the conversation with my colleagues and the applicant.
Excuse me. I hate to do this, but I don't believe you asked if anyone in the public had any comments.
I did not. I'm sorry.
We're the builder.
No, we're gonna get this. It's 6 o'clock. It's hot in here. Right? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this application? I'm sorry.
As a former professor, this is the only time I didn't mind everybody leaving before I stood up and talked.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this application? Hearing none, I guess I want to get back to Newark too fast. That's my second foible today, so sorry. It's a long meeting. So we have a motion, we have a second. Do you want to just go ahead and do the roll call?
Well, we already have 2 yes
Okay,
votes,
so
we're up to 1.
So, I vote yes. Based on all the comments that we've made here tonight, I don't think that it creates any difficulty for the neighbors in it.
And do you adopt what the applicant stated about the exceptional
very much
practice,
adopt.
about the quick check factor?
Yes.
Weston?
I thought I said, okay, I vote yes, based upon the comments made by the board and the applicant.
Ron?
I also vote yes, and I want to incorporate the past comments or previous comments of other board members. Voting yes, and I believe there is an exceptional practical difficulty due to some of the confusion at the time that the variance for the 12x12 deck was given. And I just don't see any rationale not to approve this variance due to the deck is already existing in that area. And I also agree that 1% is just not enough to stop approval.
I vote yes. I incorporate the comments of my colleagues that they've made so far. I wanted to point out that based on the fact that there are other similar structures in the community, I don't see any adverse impact on the area, and I believe that the applicant has more than established that the variance should be approved.
So with that, the variance had passed 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And if there being no further business before the board.
No, we got one more.
No, that was it.
That's it?
That was it. Does the board have any further comments?
I guess we should have a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
We're getting punchy here.